How are you feeling? How long have you been here?
3 months, May 17th.
And what brought you here?
That's difficult to answer.
Eventually resulted in your being here in the hospital.
That's difficult to answer.
voice inside my head of crying people facing death. Is this the end? Is this the end? Oh, I'm burning in the dystopia. There's no place to hide. I'm burning in the dystopia. This is the final time. What have we done to the world? What have we done to the world? I'm burning in dystopia. There's no place to hide. I'm burning in dystopia. This is the final sweet dreams are made of these. Who am I to disagree? Travel the world and the seven seas. Everybody's looking for something. Some of them want to use you. Some of them want to get used by you. Some of them want to use you. Some of them want to be out you.
Who the fuck is Karlyn? She's just some sweet lady. She's like in a knitting. She does like a knitting stream. She's like a knitting YouTuber. She does knitting.
All right, we're trying this again. We are trying this again. Is there any crackle this time? I'm going to be honest. I went and listened. I had to stop the stream to go and actually listen to what you guys were complaining about. And I have to be honest, I didn't actually think it was that big of a deal. I did not think that what I heard when I listened back to it necessitated the sheer volume of complaints in the chat. See, and now it's fine. Because the issue is StreamYard. And if you get a crackling issue with StreamYard, apparently you just need to start a new fucking stream and it completely fixes the problem. But guys, like okay, so we're not hearing any crackling? Okay. Okay. So now we can continue. I gotta be honest. I'm on Team Simona here. Like Simona was the only person in the chat that was saying, guys, this is not that big of a deal. Everyone can suck it up. Like, this is like not even, like, Simona was right and everyone that was complaining was wrong. And I don't want to hear any fucking whining. Like, I already saw people whining in the chat earlier. People were saying like, well, I guess I'm just not going to say anything anymore. That's a form of whining. I don't like it. It's passive aggressive. It's childish. It's petty. It's just, well, I'm a poor victim of the world because I didn't get my way. It's like, don't do that shit. Like I feel like I feel like I don't ask for a lot, guys. I feel like I don't ask for a lot. I don't ask for a lot. So Simona is now in charge of the chat. Simona, because she's the only one that got it right, is now in charge of the chat. See how that see, you know what? The conservatives don't believe in a meritocracy. I believe in a meritocracy. Simona right now is at the top of the hierarchy. The rest of you have some work to do. Except for Reagan. Reagan is always at the top of the chat. Like I can never shit on Reagan because she does too much and she's too awesome. But Simona and Reagan are now basically the same rank. So Reagan, I want you to keep that in mind. Like your spot is not assured, Reagan. Just because you run the clip account does not mean your spot is assured. All right. We can get started. Hey, is Judy here? While we're waiting for people to file back in, is Judy here? I have a very important Judy-related announcement. It's not really an announcement. I just want to tell Judy something, and I want to see if she's here. Okay, hopefully Judy makes her way back. I think that she... Oh, here she is. Judy, I got a mystery knit-along kit. I got a mystery knit-along kit. The mystery knit-along is coming up, and I wanted to show you the kit that I got. I got this kit because I like the jewel-toned colors. And I was like, I wasn't too sure about it. I'm not sure, like, it obviously depends on, like, what the design is, how all this is going to work together. But I do like this color blue and this color gold together very much. And I like separately these colors here. I'm not sure I like the pink and the green together, but I like them separately. So I got a mystery knit-along kit. The mystery knit-along is coming up. Judy, I saw this kit. I was like, of course it's not loading. I was like, if there was ever a Judy kit, like this is like, I almost bought this one. You got the falsetto pride. See, the one I picked out. I knew it. I knew it, Judy. As soon as I saw this kit on the website, I was like, that is a Judy kit if I've ever seen a Judy kit. Like, I saw it, I was like, oh, I know exactly what she's buying. It's like the just like the colors are just like that nice muted color that you like. So I knew it. I predicted the kit that Judy bought. How crazy is that? All right, let's get back to business. No more knitting time. No more. Well, you just picked the prettiest colors, and I almost bought that. I was like, but I knew you were gonna buy it. But I was like, I don't like the muted colors on me, but I love them just to look at, just visually. Anyway, so mystery knit along is coming up. I have to finish the shawl I'm currently working on before we get to the mystery knit along, but that's fine. You only knit memes? Yeah, no more knitting. Well, at least until the video starts. Anyway, okay, we're back. The sound is working. Everyone's happy. There's no more complaining in the chat. Okay. Salute. Thank you. Guys, it is Happy Hour on Friday, and Happy Hour Fridays on my channel. We do a bit of lighter content on the channel where we watch kind of general interest content and we talk about it. Yep, we're back. We made it. We made it. Yep. I know, I got a whole month. I gotta finish my shawl and then start another project just to put it aside. Anyway, so I saw that James Lindsay was complaining an awful lot about Tim Pool. And so if James Lindsay is complaining a lot about something, I'm going to look into that thing and I'm going to find out what's going on. And apparently Tim Pool did a whole thing on his show the other day, or maybe yesterday, where he was talking about what woke really means, and he was dragging James Lindsay. And I was like, you know what? We haven't watched Tim on the channel in a while. Mostly we haven't watched Tim on the channel because I think Tim is stupid. You know what? That's unfair. I should not be that unkind. I'm going to be a little bit more nuanced. I think that Tim is very smart about some things. Obviously, Tim is very successful. He has worked extremely hard. You can't take that away from him. Tim Pool, to do what he does, works extremely hard, and he had to work hard for a really long time to get this successful. And so I'm not saying that he's like the worst person in the world. I'm not saying he doesn't have some admirable qualities about him. But when it comes to the leftist stuff, Tim is a fucking moron. And like, I haven't heard Tim say anything interesting or groundbreaking about the left in years. And every single time I listen to Tim talk about the left, I feel like I get stupider. And I'm kind of like, I don't feel bad for him because this is Tim Pool's job. It's Tim Pool's job to cover this content accurately for his audience. He holds himself up as like this great journalist, and I do think Tim has done good work. I think all the live streaming stuff that Tim did back in the day, you can't take that away from the guy. He used to do good work, but it makes the offense of him not understanding the left even worse in my eyes, because it's like Tim, you were at Occupy Wall Street. Tim, you were at all these events where Antifa was. Tim, you've been at Antifa protests on multiple occasions. How did you never learn this? This is my kind of, and of course, we're not looking at Tim right here, so I might be confused. Let's find a freeze frame with Tim in it. Let's find a freeze frame with Timmy Tim. No, not Phil. Not Phil. I don't care about that. Where the fuck is Tim in this conversation? Why is everyone... There we go. Okay. There we go. Better. This is why I have just like no patience for people like Tim who continue to misinform their audience about what the left is and what the left is doing. Because it's not as though Tim has never covered the left. Tim has covered the left. Tim was covering the left in person at in-person events for years. And as someone who's gone undercover at leftist events on multiple occasions, I have a hard time understanding how Tim possibly could have done the coverage that he did back in the day and so completely misunderstand the left today. Because when you see the left in person, when you actually go to their events, it is undeniable. It is undeniable what's going on. You see how they organize. You hear what they talk about. And Tim has been in those environments directly. And still, he doesn't seem to understand what he's talking about. And this just blows my mind. So he also liked, I also liked that he dragged James Lindsay in this, because that's really what James was pissed off about. Tim dragged James Lindsay for his woke right bullshit again, but he doesn't get to that for about a half hour into this whole thing. So I thought that we would watch this section of his show from the other night. I think this is the right section where he's talking about what woke is and he drags James Lindsay and all of that. And, but the thing is, he was going to leftist events before he started doing all this, so he should indeed still have that knowledge. It's not an excuse. If he's gone to leftist events, he's seen the left in person, he knows how the left operates, and then he decides he wants to create a media empire, fine, Tim, create your media empire, but he still knows. He still knows what the deal is, and he's purposefully ignoring it, and he's purposefully obfuscating it. He's pretending that that work never happened, and it did happen. I saw it on video. So he has no excuse, so far as I'm concerned. Anyway, so I've got a couple Tim Pool videos up to watch today. This is going to be the big one that we watch. We're going to watch this section of the podcast where they're talking about all this stuff. I'm also very interested to see what Timmy Tim had to say about Lauren Chen. I haven't watched this yet. This is a video that Tim posted yesterday about Lauren Chen coming back. No one do a spoiler alert. I haven't watched this yet, and I have no idea what Tim said in it. But I'm going to be very, 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 very interested to hear how Tim covered this situation with Lauren Chen, because I think that how Lauren Chen was treated by pretty much everyone in the space was despicable. I think it was despicable. And I don't think Tim ever stood up for her. And that's kind of bullshit. And I know that he was probably pissed off that he was involved in it. But Tim made a fuck ton of money from that deal. And so I'm going to be very interested to see what he has to say about it. He profited a lot of money. And then he threw Lauren Chen under the bus with everyone else. And if he doesn't do some sort of mea culpa or capitulation in this, I'm going to have things to say about it. Because Lauren Chen got completely and totally fucked over. Massively. And I don't have a whole lot of grace for people who just don't do the right thing. Doing the right thing is so easy. It really is. Doing the right thing is so fucking easy. If someone is getting massively fucked over, and you're smart enough to know this space, and Tim Pool should damn well know this space by this point, and he couldn't look at the situation and know that Lauren Chen was getting massively fucked over, and P.S., Tim was intimately involved in this whole situation. I'm gonna have some opinions on what he has to say about this. Remember, Tim believes woke came from Tumblr, and during his debate with Dave Smith that woke is dead and dying and that Gen Z is super base conservatives. Well, I do actually have a clip from that, Rottweiler. I don't know that we'll get to this, but I do actually have a clip from that debate that he had with Dave Smith over a year ago about the origins of woke. That's kind of the last on the list that I want to look at. I've got a couple other clips here that I'm interested in. Tim Pool triggered after Myron Gaines goes nuclear on rabid feminists. I don't know what this is about, but someone uploaded this to YouTube a couple weeks ago. I don't know what's going on here, but I thought I would watch it. I thought that might be funny. And then the last one I have is university student exposes woke takeover of college. Corn is required reading. This is from about a month ago. And so I would like to see the groundbreaking journalism that the Timcast crew is doing, exposing the left taking over colleges. I'm sure we'll all learn something. I'm sure people on this channel who watch the left pretty much all the time, I'm sure we're going to learn something. And, you know, it might not be a good thing, but I'm sure we're going to learn something. Anyway, so it is a Tim Pool Friday. On Fridays on my channel, I drink beer and we watch lighter content. And I get snarky and bitchy sometimes, and that's just the way it goes. But I am actually interested in hearing what Tim has to say about all this. It is important for me to know what people are talking about so that when people come into my chat with crazy ideas, I know where those crazy ideas are coming from. I mean, I feel like I can be funny sometimes. Maybe. Yeah, Tim Fool Friday. It's Tim Fool Friday. Maybe I should just have a segment every Friday where we watch Tim being stupid, but I don't want to watch that much Tim if I'm honest about it. I don't want to watch that much Tim. So before we get into that, I got a couple announcements, guys, and of course we do have to do the beer vote. Before we get into it, hey, who wants to come watch some socialism with me? Because this weekend, there is a live revolutionary socialist conference. That conference is being streamed virtually on the internet in a super secret location that I have the access to. And so this weekend, we are doing a very rare multi-day spy stream where we're going to spend about 6 hours tomorrow and then about 6 hours on Sunday literally watching a revolutionary socialism conference. Now, if you attended the spy stream that I did last night, we weren't watching socialists on last night's spy stream. We were watching progressives. And there is a big difference between... There will be a Socialism Saturday tomorrow as well. It might not be a long one, but there will be a Socialism Saturday in addition to this. But this is not going to be public, is the thing. The reason that there will still be a Socialism Saturday tomorrow is this is not public. This is a supporter exclusive. So only people who support my work on Substack, Locals, Patreon, Twitter subscribers, YouTube channel members, only people who are supporters are going to get access to this, whereas Socialism Saturday is everyone. If you watch the spy stream we did last night or any of the public spy streams that I do, most often when we're watching an organizing call publicly, they're progressives. They're not revolutionary socialists. What we're talking about this weekend, this is the farthest of the far left. This is the same type of stuff that I watch on Socialism Saturdays, except it is a live conference, so I have no idea what they're going to say. I have no idea what they're going to do. I have no idea what they're going to talk about. We are covering an event literally as it happens. Don't leftist organizations know who you are by now? Why would I use my real name? Why on earth would I use my real name to sign up for something? I have many different names. I have many different profiles. When I'm doing an event like this, it's not even just me that's signing up for it. Multiple people are signing up for it. I have backup on backup on backup on backup on backup. If I'm doing something like this, I don't just have one way to access it, I have multiple ways to access it. So that's how. You don't have to go on camera for this stuff. And even if I did have to go on camera, guess what? I have a backup for that too, because they tried to get me like that one time. There was one socialist event that found out that I was infiltrating them, and they said, everyone has to turn their camera on, and guess what? I just got someone else to do it. So, and then I streamed their stream of the stream. So, I've got my bases covered. I'm a professional. I've been spy streaming for a long-ass time. Anyway, this is going to be an insane event. I know we're going to get golden nuggets. I know we're going to see some crazy shit. And so if you want to join us, the very best place to do that is to head over to my Substack. That is Karlyn, Karlyn, .substack.com. and sign up for a membership. $8 a month, $80 a year. That gets you in business. That gets you access to this spy stream. That gets you access to all future spy streams. It allows you to support the coverage I'm doing, exposing what pretty much no one else on the internet is even showing you guys, or pretty much no one else on the internet even knows it's happening. And when you sign up as a supporter, I will be sending out links tomorrow morning and the following morning. So you will be receiving the link to come and watch tomorrow's live stream tomorrow morning before the event. We're going to get started around 11:30 in the morning Eastern time. And so I'm going to have to get up early and set everything up. That is early for me. I know I work late into the night, I sleep into the day, all this stuff. And so this is not, well, no, I do go in person, but not for this. I don't have to go in person for this, but I do go in person, which I will be doing very soon, actually, for a different event. But anyway, guys, I'm not that famous. You guys understand that, right? Like, you guys are asking, how can I go to in-person events and go undercover? I'm not actually that famous. And so a lot of people on the left, they know of me. But when leftists are at an event, I can just say this on the internet. Do you want to know how I go undercover in person at events? I change my hair. I wear different glasses that you guys haven't seen before, because I have glasses that I wear that I don't wear publicly. A lot of leftist events require masks. So I wear a chest binder. I dress very non-binary. And most people, when they're at an event, aren't looking for me. And so I go to these events and I can just walk around and talk to people. No one recognizes me because I am wearing a disguise, but also they aren't looking for me and I'm not that famous. And there's a reason. This is part of the reason why I like to fly under the radar. This is part of the reason I've never pushed going on these shows or doing all these things or being like a fucking media personality. I like going undercover at events. I want to be able to go undercover at events. So that's how I do it. Anyway. So make sure you sign up on the Substack if you want to join us. It's going to be awesome. If you've never watched Socialism with us before, it'll be a nice, there's no better immersive experience than coming to a 2-day socialism conference if you want to understand socialism. So that is available on my Substack. Also want to remind everyone that we have 2 new designs in the Red Menace Supply Company merchandise store. We have this sick new Plague Doctor design. We also have the Gnostic Sex Cult design in honor of James Lindsay and his retarded followers. Both of these designs are on sale, so all merch with these designs on it is 25% off through Sunday. So that's a launch special. Anytime I add new designs to the store, they are 25% off for the first week. So you can get like a sick shirt. Look at this. You can get a poster. If you want it on other merch, just let me know. You can get the Plague Doctor shirt in black, red. That looks sick. Or this, actually, this doesn't look bad either. And then I love the Gnostic Sex Cult design. Not just that it's based on a picture of me with my tits out, although it is. I love the olive one. I'm going to get the olive one for myself. I'm going to wear a shirt with a picture of me on it, just to be maximum queen narcissist of the internet. But that is available in the Red Menace Supply Company. That is redmenacesupply.com. That is my merch store. You can also get there by going to unwokeart.com. This is the former Unwoke Art store. I had to rename it because James Lindsay ruined the word woke forever. But the old link still works. So you can get it by going to Red Menace Supply or Unwoke Art, and it'll all go to the same place. And all purchases do help to support the work I'm doing. Lots of other cool designs in the store, including the Bonfires Are Needed design, including some cool Plague Doctors, Red Menace Collective stuff, the McCarthy series, all sorts of cool stuff in my store. All right, last thing we need to do. It's Friday, so I need beer. Hang on. Beer time. And God, do I need a drink today. My goodness. Okay. We have a tradition on this channel on Fridays. I go to the craft beer store. I get 4 craft beers. That's not to say that I will drink all 4 craft beers on the stream, but the rings come in 4. And so I like nice even numbers. So I get 4. And then I bring them back here, and then you guys get to vote on which beer I drink first, and I tell you about them. If you think you don't like beer, you just haven't found the right beer yet. This is a very sour heavy day. There were just like a lot of really good sours in the store today, so I picked up some of those. I think all of these are New Hampshire breweries. The first one is from Throwback Brewery, and it is called Party Pants. I've never had this one before. Throwback is usually pretty decent. They do a lot of interesting beers. This is a raspberry lime goose. So it's going to be very light and crisp. And it's going to have raspberry lime, coriander, and sea salt. And that is beer number 1 option for today. Option number 2, you can never go wrong with blueberry and lemon. They work really well together. I kind of hope this is going to be blue. Sometimes they are, sometimes they aren't. But this is just a sour ale with blueberries and lemon. It's from Upper Pass Brewery. Upper Pass Brewery is in... I don't know where they are. They don't have their address on here. That's a shame. Anyway, blueberry lemon. That's beer number 2. Yo, that pickle beer was everything. Next up, I had to get this one because it had a cool can. And you guys know I'm a sucker for a cool beer can. If I see a cool beer can and it's not an IPA, chances are I will buy it just for the can alone. And so this is from Lederman's Limited. I'm pretty sure they are in New Hampshire. Pretty sure. Concord, New Hampshire. And this is called End of the Bloodline. And it is a blood orange lemon lime sour. So that's going to be a good one. I bet that one's going to be nice and bright. End of a bloodline. Badass. And the last one, I have to say, I'm probably most excited about this one. Because it's a funny name. It's a funny name for a beer. This is from Kettlehead Brewing Company. I'm pretty sure they're in Franklin. They're in Franklin, New Hampshire. This is called Vampires Don't Do Dishes. And it has vampires on it and a dish glove. I'm like, how the fuck do you even come up with that name? But I was looking at this. I'm like, what even is this beer? This is a Berliner Weiss. It has pomegranate, cranberry, cinnamon, vanilla, and graham cracker. So it's like a weird mishmash of stuff, and it's got a cool name, and it's got a cool can. Hey, I'll take it. So I'm putting a poll in the chat right now. Again, we have our raspberry lime goose. We have our blueberry lemon. We have our blood orange lime. And we have our pomegranate, vanilla, cinnamon, graham cracker, vampire concoction. And let me know which one you guys want me to drink. And as you're doing that, I will set up the stream and we will get started with Timmy Tim Tim. And it'll be good. And it'll be good. Please mount the like button for me, guys. Please make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed yet. I would appreciate it. Yeah, shout out to the vampires. Shout out to the vampires. All right, let's see which one you guys wanted me to drink. Last chance to vote. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Looks like the vampires got it. The vampires got it. All right, let's open the vampire beer and let's see what this looks like. What is this even going to taste like? I don't even know. Craft beer is so awesome. Craft beer is amazing. Oh, look at that. Nice and light. Ooh, it's getting darker. Darker red. Cheers, everyone. Happy Friday. We did it. We made it through another week. That's actually delightful. It tastes like a raspberry soda. Hey, I'll take it. All right, let's get this started now. We're not going to watch the full episode. I fast forwarded to about a half an hour into it, which I think is when they start to talk about the woke stuff. So we're not going to watch the whole thing, but we're going to watch a bit of it. So let's see what happened with Timmy Tim Tim and his merry friends. And I'll just rewind a little bit because I fast forwarded to find a good freeze frame of Tim. Okay, let's see.
The British started it. You know, they invaded our countries. They toppled our tribal leaders. They inflicted horrible things on us, like, you know, not letting us stone rape victims. And we just had to import ourselves back to your country and practice cousin marriage and steal all your welfare. It's actually your guys' fault. So.
Yeah, they press and then they admit that their presence is a form of punishment because they're saying they're getting revenge.
Yeah, diversity is our strength until it's not.
Yeah.
We are getting to the point where we're seeing a lot of these individuals just say, We're conquering you. You've lost.
Yeah.
Like the confidence is becoming such that there have been videos where they're just like, "What are you gonna do about it?"
Los Angeles, like 4 months ago. I mean, that's
Yeah.
Exhibit A.
Or in the UK, whenever these protests have been happening outside asylum hotels, like the men who are just laughing with glee and filming them on their iPhones that my tax money has paid for. Frankly, if you had arrived and broken into someone's country, and then the government of that country had given you a 4-star hotel, spending money, and then marshaled the police to protect your reputation as an invader against the negative opinions of parents that are afraid that you're housing their children's school, yeah, you would think you're a conquering army, wouldn't you? That's why they behave like it.
Yeah, and it's it's like not hidden anymore. And there are people that will call you names and say you're racist for noticing or acknowledging what they will openly say. And it's good that there are people that are no
Noticing?
longer cowed by that. Pardon me?
So there are people that are noticing.
Yeah, there are people that are realizing, noticing, whatever you want to call. God, I'm the wrong phrase. But the point is, like,
We
Ghost
wouldn't
of
want to
Steve
notice
Saylor.
things.
Yeah. I see his profile picture like the Batman signal.
We wouldn't want to notice things, would we?
I'm sure that my mentions on X are going to be an absolute mess for the next couple days. But yeah, the point is, like, if you acknowledge that the argument they're making is the exact the same kind of racist argument, like, you get called names. It's like, oh, you're a racist for even acknowledging this obvious truth.
Well, it's more we're just saying, if you can have blood and soil nationalism, why are we not allowed? Why is it racist when we do it? Or why is it just straight up not permitted? But then every single person around the globe outside of like Western Europe and America is totally allowed to do that.
Well, not just allowed. I mean, that's just normal.
It's like normal. It should be normal human behavior, but for whatever reason in the West, we've just like decided that we're just economic zones that you can just interchange people in and out of.
Well, my friends, let's jump to this next story. I would say that, man, we really did win, didn't we? David Pakman has left the left. Of all the people.
Yeah?
Let me play the clip for you so you can hear it for yourself.
Really?
There's a little nuance to it, but listen. He's concerned. Nobody wants to just...
Is this going to be a case where Tim Pool goes, guys, we're winning, we're winning, we're winning. David Pakman has left the left. We're winning the culture war, guys. Is that what's about to happen?
dive right in. Even Anna Kasparian was slow about being like the left has gone nuts. Even Dave Rubin was not, just an overnight thing.
Dave Rubin still doesn't
David
fucking
Pakman is
get
now
it.
exhibiting the basics of leaving the left. When, did you guys know that when that viral video from Prager went out called "Why I Left the Left" from Dave Rubin, Dave didn't actually intend on stating that phrase, "I left the left." Dave's intention in that video was the left is bad. And the interpretation.
And Dave Rubin is a grifter shill with no real values. I don't actually even think Dave Rubin ever left the left. Classical liberals are still on the left. Dave Rubin has been lying to his audience for a really long time. He's basically nothing more than a shill for Israel now. Dave Rubin, after writing a book called "Don't Burn This Book," literally proceeded to advocate for censorship for anyone who did not support Israel. So Dave Rubin can go fuck himself right off.
That they took was that Dave had left the left.
Yes.
And so even Rubin was doing something similar. Let me put it this way. David Pakman is saying I'm not the next Rubin while doing literally the exact same thing every disaffected liberal has done when they've gotten red-pilled.
And the only reason he's saying I'm not the next Rubin is because they have this idea that Rubin was bad for doing what he did when all he did was acknowledge that the left is crazy.
Here's the clip.
Have not changed in terms of my views.
None of us have.
What has changed, as I pointed out yesterday.
Hang on. I just want to point something out. Tim starts this clip with David Pakman saying, "I haven't changed my views." And then Tim says, "None of us have." I want to point something out. I'm obviously one of the people that got vaulted into this space because I left the left, okay? But I actually did. I actually did leave the left. I was a Democrat for 20 years. I decided they had gone crazy. I wrote a thing about it on the internet. It went viral, all that stuff, blah, 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 whatever. It doesn't really matter anymore. But after that, I continued to learn and I had to talk to people and I continued to explore other political beliefs and other philosophies. And I talked to a lot of people who've been censored over the years and I evolved my beliefs. Not only was the left crazy, they were wrong for a reason X, Y, B, and Z, and then I stopped considering myself any part of the left, and now I'm pretty extremely on the right. Like, I am very extremely on the right. When Tim Pool says he left the left, he never actually did. When Dave Rubin said that he left the left, he never actually did. When James Lindsay said he left the left, he never actually did. Now when David Pakman is saying he left the left, he never actually did. Anna Kasparian, I promise you, and I appreciate some of the things that Anna Kasparian has said and done. I really do. Anna Kasparian has not left the left. None of them have left the left. Not a single fuck off one of them has left the left. And this is important to understand. They're all still liberals. And they'll flat out say it. Our values haven't changed. They're all still liberals. There are people who leave the left, and I'm actually one of them, that I no longer have liberal values. I am extremely on the right. And then there are people like Tim Pool, like Dave Rubin, like James Lindsay, that pretend they've become conservatives. Pretend to be in order to pander to that audience to make money, because there is nothing that conservatives love more than a good left story, and I understand that. I am living fucking proof of that. But most of the people who say they left the left, they didn't actually change their values. They didn't change anything. They just decided they didn't want to be associated with a bunch of crazy people anymore. That's not the same thing as leaving the left.
They've gotten red-pilled.
And the only reason he's saying I'm not the next Rubin is because they have this idea that Rubin was bad for doing what he did, when all he did was acknowledge that the left is crazy.
Here's the clip.
Have not changed in terms of my views.
None of us have.
What has changed, as I pointed out yesterday, is I no longer believe we are all part of the same movement. There's the governance-focused, big tent, win elections and pass laws left. That's where I am.
Democrats.
And then there's this purity test left. The ones who don't really care if we lose and sometimes seem to like it so they can say, I told you so.
Socialists.
As long as they feel morally untainted.
Yep.
So David Pakman and Tim Pool and all of their bands of merry men don't know the difference between Democrats and socialists. That's really the problem here. David Pakman's a fucking Democrat. And David Pakman is looking at the socialists and going, y'all are crazy, and you don't even want to win elections. And the socialists are going, fuck no, we don't want to win elections. We don't give a fuck about elections. Socialists say this all the time. If you come to the socialism conference this weekend, you'll hear it. Socialists talk all the time. We don't care about winning elections. We think it's pointless. We're not reformists. We're revolutionaries, blah, 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 blah. David Pakman is going, clutching my pearls, you don't want to win elections, because Democrats and socialists are not the same thing. Tim Pool doesn't understand Democrats and socialists aren't the same thing. David Pakman doesn't understand Democrats and socialists aren't the same thing. That's what the problem is. The people causing all the chaos on the left are socialists. They're communists. David Pakman's like, why can't we just win elections, guys? Socialists don't want to win elections. That's not how they gain power. Kevin said, can we gift you a craft beer card from your favorite brewery? Well, Kevin, that might be difficult because I have a lot of favorite breweries. But what you can do is you can send me in a super chat, and I will use that super chat, which is now tax-free. Thank you, Donald Trump. Trump is the best ever. I'm never saying anything bad about Trump again. Trump made no taxes on tips apply to me. I'm here for it, man. So you can send me a super chat, and even though YouTube will still take a cut, that will now be a tax-free super chat. And I can go buy beer with the tax-free super chat. And then I can go to any brewery. Isn't that a good idea? Matthew, thank you for the super chat. See, intelligent people know they never stop learning. Yeah. Real.
That's called
they
woke.
treat compromise as corruption. They think we need a better media ecosystem must mean install CIA-approved thought leaders or something like that. So maybe we were never really part of the same movement. If I've been red-pilled about anything, maybe it's that.
Indeed.
We overlapped when convenient, and that was it.
David
but
Pakman.
I'm not getting red-pilled. I'm done pretending that everyone with a left-wing label is on the same page.
Blue sky
You
logo.
can stand for progress in a lot of different ways. You can want change without torching everyone
this is
who's
the end for
only
David Pakman on the left.
98% on your side. But no, I am not having a political awakening. I am not the next Dave Rubin. None of that.
Yeah, he is. And you know why? His views are in the gutter. Remember when he said this during the election? He was like, I'm losing so many subscribers. Holy crap, what's happening? Regular people are leaving the left. They're sick of it. They're moving on. My views haven't changed.
Hang on.
David said the same thing. The only
hang on. Tim wants to talk about regular people are leaving the left. They're moving on. Well, no, Tim, that's not exactly true. That's not exactly true. It's not specific. Beer and Karlyn is always the right fun, tax-free. Thank you, LK. Appreciate it. It is true that people are leaving the Democratic Party because the Democratic Party is a massive shit show. It's not true that they're all leaving the left. Because do you think for one red second, is anyone in this chat under any illusion that people are leaving the left and coming to the right? Is Tim under the impression that people are leaving the left to come and support Trump? Because I don't think that's what's happening. I think they are leaving the Democratic Party, and I think they're being radicalized to the DSA, and I think they're being radicalized to the far left. Because unlike people on the normie Democrat left, the far left is actually organized. The far left is actually out there doing stuff. The DSA, the Democratic Socialists of America, have got a massively impressive organizing operation going right now, and they've got that going nationwide. And they are making it a special priority to take all those people that are disaffected with the Democratic Party and pull them farther left than they were before. So it is true people are leaving the Democratic Party. It is not true that those people are leaving the Democratic Party to join the Republicans, because the Republicans fucking suck. And they've been acting like unhinged morons ever since Trump got into office. Trump is no longer even appealing to half of his base, by the way. People aren't leaving the left to go to the right. People aren't leaving the left to become independent. They're not leaving the left to become libertarians. People are leaving the Democratic Party to go to the further left, to be more radicalized to the far left.
difference is when someone came to me and said, how many lights are there, Tim? I said, 4. And they went, you're mistaken. There are 5. I says, no, I'm not. And stop lying. And if you keep lying, we're going to have problems. And David said, yeah, there's 5 lights. And now finally he's realizing he's on the wrong side of history. And so you can see the motivations of people like him. Late to the game. Why? Well, because he chose money and is willing to drop to his knees for whoever wants to pay him. Now,
please tell us more about that, Tim. Please tell us about choosing money as you get on your knees for Benjamin Netanyahu. Please tell us about the crime of choosing money to shill for someone. That is, are you fucking serious?
I'll say this. I'm going to back off a little bit. Everybody should be praising David and saying, thank you for acknowledging this. What you're describing is how we define woke. Purity test, moralistic leftists who just want you to be part of whatever they say is true, regardless of whether or not it's right, regardless of whether or not they'll actually win or change anything. They're self-sabotaging, and it's a puritanical, ideological leftism, where if you deviate in any way, they cancel you. Okay, that's been woke the whole time, the cult-like adherence to liberal orthodoxy, and David's being like...
Just for the record, I've been investigating the left for 5 years now. I have been canceled far more often and far more viciously by the right than I've ever been canceled by the left. And it's not that the left doesn't know who I am. They do know who I am. I promise you, the reason I know the reason I know they know who I am is they preemptively ban me from events. They tell people to block me on the internet. I have the posts. I see the things they say about me. Like, the left knows who I am. The left very rarely will do anything about me, though, other than complain about me. I've been canceled far more times and far more aggressively by people on the right than I ever was by the left. And that includes by PragerU. And PragerU can fuck right off. And all the fucking Zionist shills that have been doing this shit for years can fuck right off. And those are the people that Tim plays with. Tim plays nicely with the real cancel mob, and the real cancel mob is on the right. Sorry if that pisses people off, but that's just the truth.
Like, wow, I'm just now realizing this. So, as much as I don't trust the guy, that's fine. The play here is to say, thank you, David. Please tell me more. What a good person you are for explaining this, and we will fracture the cult.
So, I don't know if I agree on that, just because, and I understand wanting to be accommodating. However, I don't agree that wokeness is defined by its tactics
It's
or its
Marxism.
characteristics in operation. This is why people apply the name woke right. You know, they say, oh, right-wingers are behaving just like the left, therefore it's woke right. No, woke is gay race communism. And the thing with David Pakman is he hasn't changed his views.
Gay race communism. Gay race communism. How much do you want to bet that this idiot thinks the left hates white people? You're telling me that this guy thinks he understands the left and he's calling it gay race communism? I'm not even going to say anything. I'm going to ask my channel. My channel, for people who are new, we watch the far left all the time. One in the chat, if you think that gay race communism is an accurate descriptor of the real far left in America. 2 in the chat, if you guys think that this idiot doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. Just purely based on the moniker gay race communism. 1 in the chat if you think that that's a completely accurate characterization of what's going on. 2 in the chat if you think this guy's a raging fucking moron. That's a lot of 2s. That's a lot of 2s. Literally only retards are putting 1 in the chat. I think Azerwing was kidding. He's smarter than that. Yeah, you're kidding. You're not. You're fucking around. Don't think I don't know you're fucking around. There is no reality in which gay race communism is a queer thing. What he's talking about are actually separate things. He's talking about critical race theory. Critical race theory is the study of systemic racism. Systemic racism means the system that upholds racism. When they're referring to systemic racism, they're not talking about white skin color. They're talking about whiteness as in who is in the power position, who's the bourgeois, who is the owner, who is the capitalist class. And that is what they're talking about. It has nothing to do with skin color, nothing. It has to do with who is the capitalist and who is not. And systemic racism, it means the system that upholds racism, and that system is capitalism, and that is what they're talking about. When it comes to gay communism, it's not even gay communism. The correct term is called queer Marxism. Queer is not about being gay. Queer is not about being trans. Queer is a far left political ideology that wants to abolish the gender binary and abolish the nuclear family in order to eventually abolish capitalism. And people might think I'm nitpicking, and this is unimportant, but when you call something gay race communism, you give your audience a certain impression. And in this case, this idiot is giving his audience an impression that is not correct and is not an accurate descriptor of what the left is doing. But he can high-five himself and feel like he owned the libs, bro. Those stupid gay race communists. Like, he can give himself a high-five and feel like he did something important, but in fact, all he did was lie to his audience, and his audience is now less informed than they were before. Queer is about going against the norms that uphold capitalism. When they say normativity, that means the norms that uphold capitalism.
It is.
It's not.
Wait.
Okay. It is because he still has not changed any of his views, and so he wants to consolidate the existing gains of the revolution without jeopardizing it as a political project, because all of his co-freaks are so antisocial that they put people off. So he's hoping to
Gay upholds the gender binary.
repackage the same values in the same way. He's not reassessing his same priors. He wants the revolution to continue unfurling, but in a sustainable fashion. And just one final thing, it's hilarious that he says all of these CIA-approved people. Dude, you had the values of the entire deep state, of Goldman Sachs, of Walmart, until about 15 seconds ago. So the idea that you are some sort of renegade is quite pathetic.
So when you have wokeness is not gay race communism. There is an element of the left that adheres to those ideologies, but that I've argued this quite a bit, doesn't explain why there's the pro-Ukraine faction, which does not engage in arguments about critical theory, gender, or race.
That's actually, Tim, that's completely fucking incorrect. You think the pro-Ukraine people don't engage in conversations around Marxism? Tim! I've gone undercover at multiple leftist events. One of the leftist events I went undercover at was the Socialism Conference in 2023. At the Socialism Conference in 2023, and when I call it the Socialism Conference, that's literally the title of the event. The event is called the Socialism Conference. You're telling me that pro-Ukraine people don't engage in Marxism? Tim, there were multiple tables of pro-Ukraine people at the fucking Socialism Conference. I saw it in person. Those same pro-Ukraine people have been at the Socialism Conference in 2024, and they were at the Socialism Conference a couple months ago in 2025. Those same pro-Ukraine people are still doing presentations and handing out flyers and pamphlets and doing all that stuff, and they're doing it at far-left events, you fucking retard. Tim Pool, the most incredible journalist of our time, can't even acknowledge what side these people are on.
And it doesn't explain why people like David Pakman, who largely take an economic pro-war view that he largely ignores those progressive arguments and gay race communism, is still considered woke. And 2 more points, Mark Warner, who is considered a moderate Democrat, is defending Kilmar Abrego Garcia. And additionally, so that's the political element. The Jaguar commercial where they espoused nothing political, but it was a weird modern art display of bald people wearing weird pastel makeup was also called woke. Because
they're all black and androgynous.
But that doesn't explain Mark Warner.
Because they're pushing back on normativity, you fucking retards. This is why I don't watch Tim Pool. I get so angry. They know so little.
So all of these different things that are called woke, if you put an umbrella over it, you try to ask what is the lowest common denominator that allows us to define woke, and is the cult-like adherence to liberal orthodoxy. Now,
Tim, real socialists and real communists hate liberals. To say that woke is a cult-like adherence to a liberal orthodoxy, Tim, you fucking retard. Socialists and communists and DSA people hate liberals. They talk about it all the time. They call them neo-liberals. There are entire fucking conferences written about how much, there are entire fucking books written about how much they hate liberals. There are entire fucking conference presentations given about how much they hate liberals. Woke comes from Marxism. Critical theory is Marxism. If you're talking about a critical orthodoxy, that is Marxism. It is not liberal. It is a contradiction in terms to say that socialists are liberals. No, I would never. I've been asked. I will never go. I will never go. I will never do it. It would end horribly. First of all, the only thing people are going to talk about is how I look. They're just going to complain about my look and my weight and all that stuff. I've been on the internet long enough to know that, so no one's even going to be listening to anything I say. I can't play any of my videos showing what the left actually thinks and believes, so I can't actually do that. And I would end up getting into a fight with Tim. Tim and I, if I ever went on any show with Tim and I are getting in a fucking fight. You guys understand, and that might be entertaining for you. Tim would probably cry. And then everyone would be talking about how I'm fat. And that's it. It's like, it would be a complete waste of my time.
that means David Pakman will never call out gay race communism, but he himself is not a gay race communist.
Well, liberalism is just the slow unfurling of gay race communism. Marxism and wokeness is just its eager stepchild. As far as Ukraine, the reason they support it is because they want to make it a sort of
But
vassal.
I'm going to pause you again, because what you're doing is you're cutting half of the woke people off because they don't hold those views. That's why that doesn't make sense.
What woke person did not fold themselves into BLM and support trans?
David Pakman.
Did he not support BLM?
He didn't call it out. He didn't question it. He largely ignored those issues, and he consistently does. It is the cult-like adherence to their orthodoxy unchallenged, which puts them in the woke camp.
I think you would find.
Oh my God, he
I don't
has
watch
no
David
clue what
Pakman's
he's
show
talking about.
like everyone else in this room.
He literally has no clue what he's talking about. Tim is just making shit up. It is completely unhinged from reality.
IQ above 50. But I'm sure you would find an abundance of clips of him banging on about systemic racism or saying that Trump is
Probably.
committing some kind of transgenocide.
David Pakman has always played the moderate Democrat route, but never called out until now the excesses of the lunacy on the left. And so when we look at someone who's waving a Ukraine flag and they put it in their profile, what does that have to do with critical theory in any capacity?
Because it's not critical theory. It's human rights. It's the doctrine of the blank slate. And so they want Ukraine to be part of the international global liberal order through which
Not
universal
liberal.
human rights are on
Not
fold.
liberal.
And both
So
woke-
I
Yes.
hear you. The individuals
Yes.
in this
Every single time these retards say the word liberal, they're lying to the audience. It has nothing to do with liberal. No. If Tim wants to talk to me, he can reach out to me. I'm not reaching out to Tim. That is absolutely not happening in any way.
country that don't know anything about critical theory, will not argue in favor of communism, will actually criticize the ideas of communism, but march in lockstep with those things we define as woke. So the point is, there have been numerous prominent conservatives who have said woke is critical race theory, gender theory,
Duh.
gay race communism, etc. And then that isolates a core group of personalities and the entire sphere of influence for which they control, which includes prominent liberals who are pro-war in Ukraine, pro-Taiwan, anti-China, anti-Russia. It ignores them and their influence in the similar space. So when we look at what all this whole, like David Pakman, why would I describe him as woke? Because for the longest time, he has engaged in sophistry to uphold liberal orthodoxy. But he himself, in private, there are many liberals we've had on the show that do this thing where it's like, obviously trans kids is not a good thing and we shouldn't do that. And they'll actually say things like that while trying to dance around. Pisco, who we have at the Culture War, who'll be here tomorrow, he does a lot of this. He offers up oh, you're right about these things, but then uses sophistry to try and defend the whole of liberal orthodoxy. So my point ultimately is, while we do highlight individuals that are critical theorists, gender, race, or otherwise, there are prominent left that we call woke because they will protect it while privately trying to downplay it. When they say things like, you know, I hear what you're saying on that, they will then try and convince you to come into the fold of the greater liberal orthodoxy. I'll try and keep it simple. It does not matter what is logical or true. White, blonde-haired, blue-eyed Eastern Europeans are people of color according to woke. But that defies the oppression hierarchy they also claim to uphold. They say the military-industrial complex is bad and the funding of war by the United States is bad until it comes to Ukraine. It's all completely illogical.
Tim, most people on the left do not actually support the war in Ukraine. Most people on the left don't. Now, there is a minority of people who do. That's very true. But to say that every single person on the left supports the war in Ukraine is just it is wrong and it is incorrect. If they do support it, the reason they support it is they believe Russia is trying to steal land from the indigenous people. That's what's going on. It's the same reason they're on the side of the Palestinians with what Israel is doing. It's because Israel is trying to steal the land of the indigenous people, yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. If they do support the war in Ukraine, it has nothing to fucking do with Ukraine and Russia. It has to do with Russia being in the power position, being the evil bourgeois trying to steal the land from the Ukrainians, and that's why they would support the Ukrainians. Just like Israel are the settler colonists that tried to steal the land from the Palestinians, that's why they support the Palestinians. It has to do with the fucking land.
It's almost like I describe it as a murmuration flying around randomly, and as long as you stick with it, you are in the woke sphere, whether it tilts left, right, or otherwise.
See,
David Pakman, by coming out and saying the purity...
This is exactly the point I'm making. And Bear Boy is a former leftist, so he understands this stuff. Had he been at Antifa events before he had been at Antifa events before and been at Occupy Wall Street, and he still doesn't understand this. This is what I'm saying with Tim. This is why I have no fucking patience for Tim Pool, because he's literally been at these far left events himself in person on multiple occasions. And listen, again, if you have been to far left events, especially as a journalist whose job it was to document the events, and you don't understand what I'm explaining to you, what the fuck were you doing? Honestly. If you don't understand what I'm explaining to you, then what the fuck were you even doing at the far left events in the first place? Because if you actually listen to these people, Antifa, the Occupy Wall Street people, those are the farthest of the far left, they're revolutionaries, they're going to say to you literally exactly what I'm saying. Oh, no. There's no shilling for Israel and the Jews on this channel, Robert. You can have your opinions, but no. Not allowed. Keep them to your... If you are on the side of Israel and the Jews, keep it to your fucking self.
Test left is finally breaking from woke by calling them out explicitly.
I think the connective tissue here that we would agree on is what we discussed when I was on the culture war last year, which is whether or not they're congenital liberals or dyed-in-the-wool gay race communists. They all believe on the blank slate, and so they might differ on the instruments by which they achieve this latent human egalitarianism that's lying underneath everything.
I disagree. I don't think they believe in the blank slate.
You don't think David Pakman believes in the blank slate?
I would argue that David Pakman largely doesn't believe in anything except the color green and pictures of dead presidents.
Okay,
Yeah,
well,
that's probably true,
I can't
honestly.
really speak to that because I don't know how disingenuous he is.
David Pakman is a... I mean, look at what he's saying right now, right? Let's be real. He knew what he's saying now a long time ago. Okay? Anybody of reasonable intelligence who can build a platform, create the graphic.
We have no grievances with the Jews here. We have no grievances with the Jews. We love the Jews. We love bagels. There is no anti-Semitism allowed on my channel. Just because, we all have to pretend that the Holocaust is a real thing, which of course it happened. It happened exactly like we were taught in schools. Glass chambers absolutely have one indoors. And the Magnus Hirschfeld was just persecuted by the evil Nazis during the book burnings. And, just because we all have to support Israel and send our money to Israel, because if we don't send our money to Israel, we're anti-Semitic. And just because they're deporting college student protesters for free speech violations because they don't understand what free speech stands for anymore, apparently. And you're not allowed to criticize Israel in this country anymore. And they're actually passing laws that you can't criticize Israel in this country. And if I say any of this publicly without being sarcastic and really saying and emphasizing that we do not support Hitler, Hitler was the worst person that ever lived, obviously, except that Hitler was fighting Marxists and just figured out that the Marxists happen to be the Jews and all that stuff. Just because Israel is literally genociding a population in front of us right now, and we're not allowed to say that. And if we do say that, we're considered to be anti-Semitic. Just because Jews have attacked my character, defamed me multiple times, just because Jews doxed my college boyfriend in order to try to smear me on the internet by telling people things that weren't true, just because they planted hit pieces on me, just because they've tried to cancel my businesses multiple times for not supporting Israel. I mean, I don't, obviously, we support Israel, and we have to send Israel all of our money, because if we don't, we're being anti-Semitic. I hope that answers your question.
Study the algorithm of YouTube and create a channel with millions of subscribers, and every day read the news, knows full well when they are lying. When David Pakman,
yeah, exactly,
my favorite clip from him, when he brought, he played a clip from MSNBC. No, I think it was NBC News. It was Chuck Todd talking to Ted Cruz. And he asked Ted Cruz, do you really believe Ukraine interfered in the U.S. election in 2016? And then Ted Cruz goes, the New York Times reported it. And then a producer starts laughing in the background. David Pakman then starts going, I can't believe it. He actually thinks that. Whoa! There's no way David Pakman, in his research to find that clip and is isolating it, didn't actually look at the New York Times story that said Ted Cruz was correct. So David Pakman is cognizant of his lies. He knows full well. I would argue, and I've known the guy for a while, not like we're good friends or anything. If you got him in private, he'd tell you outright, yeah, of course, that's completely illogical. None of it makes sense. But I've got an audience and I got to make money. So I'm going to defend them and say whatever needs to be said so that I can maintain my viewership and grow my channel and defend it. We would consider people who do that still to be woke, despite not actually following. Now, what is the greater umbrella? The cult-like adherence to the liberal orthodoxy. More importantly, what is woke changes.
No.
For example, Womixin, W-O-M-X.
Bro. Tim, anyone who actually listens to the left knows that they're extremely consistent with what they say. They say the same thing almost every single event across leftist groups, across leftist organizers, across different activists. They are extremely consistent in what they say. If you think that the left is not consistent, the reason is because you are not actually listening to the real far left with any depth at all in any way.
N was deemed at one point to be the appropriate spelling for women because it's inclusive to women of color and trans women, until a week later when trans women said, we don't need a special word, just say woman and you're a bigot. And then it changed again. So you can argue that those are components of gay rights communism, I guess, but there's no logic defining when it is or is not.
The logic is that it's advancing towards the ultimate goal of absolute egalitarianism.
Except it changes every day.
But it changes every day because the various aggrieved client groups.
Can I ask a question? Side note. Apparently, Donald Trump has changed the name of the Department of Defense to the Department of War. How do people feel about that? Pete Hegseth has this video on his Twitter where they're changing his name plaque from the Secretary of Defense to the Secretary of War. I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like it. At all. Yeah, more jury. It's almost like we're about to go to war on behalf of Israel, isn't it? It's almost like they're preparing to go to war. I can understand having a strong army with which we defend ourselves and we defend our borders and we defend our national security and we defend all of that. But by changing the name to the Secretary of War, it kind of sounds like they're preparing to drag us into another fucking war. Probably a war that we don't need to be involved in. Probably a war that's going to cost us billions and billions of fucking dollars and American lives and resources and all that stuff just to take care of Israel, because it'll always be on behalf of Israel. It will always be because of fucking Israel. Thank you, Trump, for no taxes on tips, but also, like, kindly fuck off, honestly.
Make their bids for what is and isn't excluding them. So there's a form of collective bargaining there, but the ultimate guiding North Star is absolute egalitarianism. And David Pakman might well be a grifter. However, I think if you sat him down and you asked him, if the Democrat Party could sufficiently redistribute enough welfare and free healthcare and human rights and housing to as many men
Hang
from
on, we got a super chat. Kosher right is complete neoliberal cancer. Paleo right is where genuine. No, I don't agree with that either. I don't. First of all, I don't even like all these fucking titles. Calling them the kosher right. Stop calling them on the rights. Thank you for the money. I appreciate it. But why the fuck are you saying liberals are on the right? They're not on the right. They're liberals. They're on the left. Call them what they are. Paleo right? What is that? Like fucking Andrew Wilson? Andrew Wilson can go fuck himself. He's a massive pussy. So I don't co-sign that either. I certainly have my own opinions. I'm not going to talk about those right now, but thanks for the money. I appreciate the super chat.
issue as possible, would they become American? He would say yes, which means that he does believe in the blank slate.
I think David Pakman would try to engage in sophistry where he would not take an absolutist stance and he would try and nudge you towards the liberal orthodoxy for the purpose of building audience and making money.
Okay.
That is, if you sit with David Peckman, he's the kind of guy who's going to be like, obviously that's an extreme, and I don't think that's true for all people. I do think, however, some people can. That's the angle he's going to play.
Right. Okay. Well, then.
So this is the point. I mean, when you have liberals who are like, the military-industrial complex is bad, and we've got to stop increasing the military budget, and then you go, I agree. Now say Ukraine. I go, no, Ukraine deserves more money. It's like, okay, there's no logic to what you're saying. You're literally just saying what MSNBC is adhering to.
Oh my God.
That is, liberal activists would argue the military-industrial complex is bad, and in the same breath say, Hassan Piker does this. And we're like, he's woke. Yet he simultaneously argues for and against the military-industrial complex.
Yeah, but...
And I will say this too. When the funding or defunding of the military-industrial complex is a component of the left, that's nothing to do with critical theory.
I think
Wait,
diluting
what?
the philosophical...
I'm sorry. What? Say that again, please. Tim.
Yeah, but...
And I will say this too. When the funding or defunding of the military-industrial complex is a component of the left, that's nothing to do with critical theory.
Tim, Marxists believe that the military-industrial complex is a function of capitalism. It is about imperialism. It is about taking land. It is about controlling other populations. The entire military-industrial complex is about imperialism. Does anyone know what Lenin said about imperialism? Does anyone remember? Let's see who's the smartest person in my chat. What did Lenin say about imperialism, which is the entire point of the military-industrial complex? You think the military-industrial complex has nothing to do with critical theory? What did Lenin say about imperialism? Who's the smartest person in my chat? Lenin said that imperialism is the highest form of capitalism. The military-industrial complex is the highest form of capitalism. You want to know what the military-industrial complex has to do with critical theory? Critical theory seeks to abolish capitalism. The military-industrial complex is the highest form of fucking capitalism. Still don't see a correlation? Tim, genius of the internet?
I think diluting the philosophical consistency of a position that can be ascribed to woke by also saying these people are sophists, these people are grifters, these people are stupid in the instance of Hassan Piker means that we're actually making the waters more murky in what we're trying to describe.
I think when you say woke is critical theory, or
not critical theory, it's gay race communism.
But that's just a pejorative.
It's a made-up term.
It's an instrument in enacting the final goal of total egalitarianism.
No,
but I think the most
you
premium
made up
is
a
placed on
term that you
critical
don't even
theory as
understand,
the
bro.
origin
Shut
point
the
of
fuck
woke.
up.
I think it's John Locke, but there you go.
Critical theory is just the umbrella for critical gender and critical race theory. And you say gay race
No,
communism.
it's not
Yeah,
just
but also
that,
I'd lump
actually.
You are excising out large portions of the influential liberal base that engage in political activism who don't ascribe to that, but ally with these people.
But I think they all do ascribe to it whether or not they've read it. Like their default assumption is...
It's just not correct. It's just not correct. That's why Anna Kasparian breaks out. That's why...
No. Oh, yeah? You want to know how you get permanently banned in my chat? You do that. I was going to respond to you. Now I'm just going to ban you. Goodbye.
David Pacman leaves the left because they never believed it. They were just adhering to the liberal orthodoxy. When Anna Kasparian lies about me personally for years, and then one day has an epiphany and changes her mind, she's woke. We say she's woke. She's lying about all these things. It is the cult-like adherence to the liberal orthodoxy, and the orthodoxy changes every day. It's impossible to actually follow what the rules are. So they're like the Wimixon is just one example that I use where you say, okay, liberals, tell me what I should or should not say. And then the next day they pull the old tweet from a week ago and then cancel you for it. There's no logical consistency. What they're saying is or is not true. Now, I agree. Critical theory, gay race communism is a large component of what we've seen among the moralistic liberal orthodoxy. But certain components of it change whenever it's appropriate for them to gain power.
I mean, isn't it?
So real quick, when they say Republicans challenge the election, and then every election they've challenged. When you've got a 40-minute video of Democrats saying Republicans have stolen the election, every single election, and then but Republicans are bad for stealing the election, you're like, right, there's no logical consistency what they claim.
Yeah,
I think that
It is just a
basically.
cult.
I think
the
there is.
One second. I think the feature that you're actually acknowledging, Tim, is that there's so much postmodern influence on the left, right? If you have a
Why do these people continue to try to separate postmodernism from critical race theory? Is it just to sound smart? Why do we continue to make this more difficult than it is? Woke is a manifestation of Marxism. Period. Full fucking stop. Woke is trickle down from Marxism. Postmodernism is not different than woke. Postmodernism is not different than critical theory. They're all the same fucking people. They're all the same ideas. They're all the same philosophers. It's all the same trickle down manifestation of Marxism.
postmodernist who's making an argument, you're not going to get logical consistency, because part of the postmodern, I guess, philosophy is that there are no actual overarching narratives that matter. So what you do is make arguments that are
No,
functional,
wrong.
so that way you can win the existing argument that you're in. You can
That's
make a
not-
different argument later,
Completely
tomorrow, the
wrong.
next week, or whatever, because the actual underlying philosophy isn't important. if
Agreed.
you're
What are you doing here? I always get nervous when Big Tech's audience shows up. You guys just don't show up because you're interested. You're showing up to cause me problems in some way. Actually, what I'm about to say is relevant to Big Tech. Not that I'm saying anything specific about him. But I've been listening to the Yeah, he was Big Tech. Yeah, okay. So I've been listening into the CQ spaces, of course. I've been doing these CQ spaces for months now. And by the way, if you're on X and you're not listening into the CQ spaces, the Christian question spaces, they're actually fascinating, and I recommend everyone check them out. But one of the things that so basically what happens in these spaces is a bunch of people who are against Abrahamic religions, like they're against all of them, they challenge Christians to come up and debate them. And the reason I started listening to these spaces, and it pertains to what Phil is doing. The reason I started listening to these spaces in the first place was because I like listening to people argue with Christians. I just think it's funny. I think it's amusing. And I've been listening to these spaces for months and months and months and months and months and months and months. And one of the things that happens in these spaces consistently is that when Christians get up to argue with the CQ guys and to defend Christianity, they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Most of them have never even read the Bible. Many of them come up drunk. It's actually uncanny how many Christians come into the Christian question spaces, especially on Fridays and Saturdays. So you'll probably be hearing this tonight and tomorrow. It would be a great time to listen to them. Like, they come up completely drunk. They have no idea what they're talking about, but they argue it so confidently is my big point. And one of the things that's just been so interesting for me to hear from the Christian question spaces is just like, because it's mostly men, right? And I think it should be mostly men. These are men having conversations with other men. I think that's fine. But I get to kind of sit there and listen to the men that actually know what they're talking about. And then the men that are just posturing confidence, but they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. And it's actually been kind of like a fascinating psychological case study for me to listen to be able to start to hear when men are trying to act confident in something because they want to be the big man in the room or whatever, but they actually are just completely bullshitting. And do you know what Phil Labonte is doing right now? He's completely bullshitting. And once you see this, and once you see kind of like the tells of like men acting confident, but they're completely bullshitting, you cannot unsee it. And it is just uncanny. And it's like, man. Listen again. Phil Labonte doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about.
but Republicans are bad for stealing the election, you're like, right, there's no logical consistency what they claim.
I think that
it is just a cult.
I think there is.
One second. I think the feature that you're actually acknowledging, Tim, is that there's so much postmodern influence on the left, right? If you have a postmodernist who's making an argument, you're not going to get logical consistency, because part of the postmodern, I guess, philosophy is that there are no actual overarching narratives that matter. So what you do is make arguments that are functional, so that way you can win the existing argument that you're in.
He literally just made all that shit up. Can everyone identify that? He literally just made all of that up. That is not real. That is not hinged into reality with what the real far left says at all. The real far left is incredibly consistent in their ideas. They've been consistent for decades and decades and decades. If you think they're not consistent, you're listening to the wrong people. Come listen to my content. I will show you the left being incredibly consistent over the course of decades, because they are. For Phil Labonte to say, they don't even know what they're talking about, and there's no such thing as anything, and they're just, they adjust things to prove whatever point. No. That's not what the left does at all, in any way.
Make a different argument later, tomorrow, the next week, or whatever, because the actual underlying philosophy isn't important.
Agreed.
If you're going towards a goal.
And that is not unique to critical theory or gay race communism.
No, it's
For
postmodern.
fuck's sake.
It's not unique to postmodernism.
I literally want to shoot myself. Not really, YouTube. I'm never literally going to kill myself. Okay, calm down. But like, I literally want to shoot myself every single time someone says gay race communism. It's the most lazy descriptor that they could have possibly come up with. If you hear, like, let this be a lesson. If you hear someone saying gay race communism, that person doesn't know what the fuck they're talking about. It's the same thing as Andy No saying Trantifa. Trantifa's not a real fucking thing. Andy No made it up as a branding exercise, and now everyone's running around going, Trantifa. Trantifa's not a real fucking thing. It's not a real thing at all.
The idea that there's no truth but power, or the might makes right, is not uniquely postmodern. So when liberals,
it's not about what it's not about might makes right. It's about what useful arguments will help you win the argument you're in, and that's not about.
And what the liberals are doing is saying truth doesn't matter. All that matters is I somehow steal power from you, and that has been true of the liberals and the Democratic Party for decades, irrespective of the rise of wokeness in the past 15 years.
That's the postmodern incident. That's the postmodern incident.
So when liberals have had this behavior and tendency pre-postmodernism, why would we then ascribe postmodernism?
When was pre-postmodernism, Tim? What time period are you talking about that's pre-postmodernism? Because that would have been a long-ass time ago.
As the principle of wokeness.
When are you talking about then?
I'm talking about the 2000s.
Oh, okay, come on!
The election.
So 2000.
Tim thinks the left wasn't doing this in the 2000s. Tim Pool thinks the left wasn't doing this in the 2000s. Tim, there was a pamphlet that was handed out in New York Pride in, what was it, 2001? Called Queers Read This. That is one of the defining moments of queer activism. Queer activism, which is, again, for people who don't know, queer is a far left political ideology. Queer is not about being gay. Queer is not about being trans. Queer activism has been going on in this country since the 60s. The ACT UP movement in the 80s was all queer activism. In the 90s, they handed out Queers Read This as their first major manifesto of queer activism. And it's just gotten worse and worse and worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. You're telling me that Tim Pool thinks this stuff wasn't happening in the 2000s? Does he really think that this started with Occupy Wall Street? Is that what's going on? Does Tim Pool think that this all started with Occupy Wall Street? Bruh. Tim, they didn't even have the internet when they started doing this stuff, bro.
Postmodernism didn't rise in.
The rise of critical theory specifically is the end of the 2000s, and we see this.
Oh my God! Tim, the rise of critical theory was in the 1970s. The rise of critical theory was in the 2000s. The rise of critical theory was in the 1970s.
In the LexisNexis data.
That
was before they were already challenging elections while claiming they don't.
But that isn't when postmodernism came onto the scene. Postmodernism kind of came on in like the 50s and 60s.
Right. So the point
Actually,
is, if
correct.
we're talking about wokeness as gay race communism,
First smart thing Phil Labonte has said, correct. 50s and 60s. That's actually right.
we'll clarify. Gay race and postmodernism is a large principal component of what is the ideology held by these people. In 2008, LexisNexis data shows across the board in newspapers all around the world the rise of critical theory terminology.
Why do you think that was, Tim? Why do you think that was? Here, I'm going to explain why that was. Because in 2008, they entered into the post-racial period. The post-racial period was signified by the election of Barack Obama as president. Why is it the post-racial period? Because a black man literally got elected president. That is why that was a transitionary period from the time when the left focused on, up until Barack Obama got elected president, the left was focused on the long march through the institutions, taking over the institutions, making sure they were ingrained in the institutions. That doesn't mean everything started with fucking Barack Obama. It means that that was the transitionary point when the left locked down the institutions. By 2008, 2009, 2010, the left had taken over every major school district in the country. All of them. All the public schools were controlled by them. They were implementing equity programs in public schools all over the country, starting in 2008, 2009, 2010. I have all this documented. The reason they were able to do that is because they had spent the previous 60 years in the long march through the institutions to take over the institutions. You think something just started in 2008? It started 60 years before that. After Barack Obama was elected president, they broke through the glass ceiling, and finally a black man had the highest office in the world, the most powerful office in the country. That's when they moved and they transitioned to destabilizing the system as much as possible. Because in order to have the Marxist revolution in this country, they need to destabilize the system as much as possible. And so that's when the transition happened. That is what Tim is talking about. Tim doesn't understand the 60-year history leading up to that transition. He also doesn't understand what's coming next. The four goals of the woke left are always and forever the same. Gain as much power as possible, destabilize the system, attack capitalism, usher in their Marxist utopia. Right now, we are transitioning from the destabilize the system phase to attacking the capitalism phase. This is why we're starting to hear the left talk about capitalism more and more and more and more and more. Only a literal fucking retard thinks I agree with Tim Pool. Are you smart enough to be here? So no, Tim, this did not start with Barack Obama. It did not start in 2008. It started 60 years before that. The reason you think it started with Barack Obama in 2008 is because that's when they transitioned into overtly destabilizing the system, which was the second step in their plan. The third one is just to blame all the destabilization on capitalism so they can get the public to want to overthrow the capitalist system so they can usher in their Marxist utopia. Tim, you retard. Is that in the United States? I'm sorry. Did I miss the part where the Russian Revolution happened in the United States? I'm talking about the United States here. Please try to focus. Yes, on my channel. Okay, let's just be really clear, bro. On my channel, we have an IQ test. Right now, you're failing the IQ test. I don't try to appeal to every retard on the internet. You might be confused because you wandered in here and you don't know what's going on. You are currently failing the IQ test. So one more stupid chat, you're going to be permanently banned from my channel. And yes, I will say whatever the fuck I want on my own stream. That guy's going to get banned in less than 5 minutes. Watch. This is not an inclusive community. This is an exclusive community. See, look at that. I told you this guy was going to get banned. Doesn't even speak English. Are you black? You're black, right? I bet you're black. Well, regardless, you're banned. Bye.
Supremacy, trans, etc. Pre this, and I'm sure everyone in the chat agrees, Democrats still behaved this way. If they cult-like adherence to their orthodoxy. A great example that I highlighted was the Prop 8 video from
I forgot a super chat. My bad. Okay, sorry. Tim thinks it started with Occupy because that's when Tim started. Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. He thinks he is in the center of the universe and everything happens around him. Yeah, 100%. 100%. Tim Pool thinks that nothing happened before he showed up and started live streaming protest stuff. You're allowed to comment. You're just not allowed to be a low IQ retard. Like, I don't... The Starbeam, the bar is not high. You're allowed to comment. Anyone can comment. People comment all the time. You're just not allowed to be a low IQ retard. I don't think you're a low IQ retard. If you listen to my content consistently, you're not a low IQ retard. Don't be afraid.
Like 2011, where the Democrats were falsely ascribing views to the conservatives about gay marriage in California for the purpose of winning on that issue. This is before we were taken over by the cult, before we were taken over by gay race communism or whatever. There was still on the left, if you were...
Tim, your gay race communism started taking over in the 60s, bro. Queer Marxism, and I know this because I'm currently writing a book about queer Marxism. Queer Marxism started taking over in the 60s, not in the 2000s, in the fucking 60s. Compton's cafeteria riot was in the 60s. Stonewall was in the 60s. The ACT UP movement was in the 80s. Queers Read This came out in the 2000s. Bruh. No. 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 That is never going to happen. That is never, ever, ever. I need to be very clear with you right now. Listen, I understand you're in big tech's audience. I get it. He was on Ethan Ralph's show all the time. I get it. There is no universe in which I will ever go. 1990. See, thank you. Why did I think Queers Read This was in the fucking 2000s? See, I always confuse this. You know what? I have the wrong date for Queers Read This. It like burned into my head. I feel like I confused it with another document. Queers Read This was in 1990. You're right. I don't care if Adam goes on. Adam is his own man. Adam Green is his own man, and I don't like it when he goes on that show, but I don't have any control over him. There is no universe in which I will ever go on Ethan Ralph's show. That will never, ever, 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 ever happen. No. I've been asked to be on Tim's show multiple times, and I will never go. Because it would be a complete waste of my time, and it would get into an argument, and I would make Tim cry, and all that stuff. I don't care. Ethan, it's a little insulting to me that you think that Ethan Ralph has the ability to interview me about anything. Ethan Ralph doesn't understand what the fuck I do. Ethan Ralph is a low IQ idiot. Ethan Ralph has sped smear campaigns about me on multiple occasions. Ethan Ralph is the lowest form of life on the fucking internet. There is no... I would lose all self-respect for myself if I ever went on that show. So the answer is no. Thank you for being polite, but the answer is no.
On the right, you are bad. Right means bad. Right has always meant bad. And you must do what we say is acceptable or you will be excised.
So the reason I don't want to define it by tactics is to use a comparison. So political correctness came from the term paternost from Lenin in the early 20th century, and Solzhenitsyn in Gulag Archipelago describes how people's capacity for self-delusion, even in prison, would allow them to dob in their spouse as being insufficiently devoted to the Communist Party, or accept false charges so that their sons and daughters would join the Komsomol, the Young Communist League, even though they knew themselves were not guilty. So that capacity to lie, to delude, to adhere to a cult-like orthodoxy comes long before the specific manifestation of woke as being gay race communism. So I wouldn't define it by its tactics.
Not
'cause those
even
tactics are
correct.
part of
No,
Nazi tradition.
wrong.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Were the fascists woke?
No.
Agreed. And so when you have a totalitarian system, an authoritarian system, people bend the knee and will say, for those that know the reference, there are four lights. It's from Star Trek. It's actually a reference to something else that people have, explained to me. But Picard was being tortured. There were four lights above him, and the torturer said, "Tell me there are five, or I'll electrocute you."
Yeah, it's from George Orwell's 1984.
Yeah, and so anybody will do that. When the liberals say, "Do it, or we will make you suffer," it is just a fascistic ethos held by the left, and that's why. I'll put it this way: I guarantee you, David Pakman coming out and saying, I'm finally realizing this, it's because the money's drying up. He's on the wrong side of history, but I guarantee you, if tomorrow a progressive organization said, we're going to dump a bunch of sponsorship and ads into your channel, if you just apologize for that and say you were wrong, he would do it in 2 seconds. Most of these liberals would. Let me tell you, I've heard a lot of people critical of critical.
You know what you should be doing? You know which would be much more productive? Just go fucking harangue big tech about why he's still being standoffish and ridiculous. That's what you should be doing. Because I could have many more interesting conversations with him than I could have with Ethan Ralph, but he's still being standoffish and ridiculous because that's all he knows how to be. So go harangue him about that, okay? Because I've given up. I've given up on that particular project.
Race theory and gender theory, which are bad.
Yeah, real.
Describe woke specifically as that. Yet, these people don't actually believe any of it. And I've proven it. And I think we'll prove it substantially to a greater degree, because when you offer them money, they drop the act immediately. So I'll give you an example, and I'll laugh about it when they post this in the Slap forums.
Yeah, Big Ted.
Boonies HQ skate park.
Big Ted. Big Ted. Big Ted, indeed. Big Ted, indeed. All right, which one should I drink next? Do you guys want to try this vampire one? Oh, no, we just did the vampire one. Let's do the blood orange one. You guys want to try the blood orange beer? Hang on. We're getting a new beer. Okay, we're going to do the blood orange beer. This is blood orange and lemon lime. And hopefully it'll be red. The poison one. Let's see. Nope, not red. Boo. If you guys are drinking anything fun, please let us know in the chat what you're drinking on this glorious, glorious Friday. Cheers.
Right? So we start filming content. We make skateboards. We sell skateboards. We've done over $100,000 this year in boards. The last several months have been massive. The Don't Be Gay board sold, I think, $16,000 in a month for skateboards. And I was told by some of these guys in the industry that we may actually have one of the highest selling skate companies in the world now for boards, because the industry is flat. Well, what happens is these woke activists go online and start saying, F Tim Pool, he's a fascist, blah, blah, blah.
My merch is way cooler than Tim's merch, by the way. Can we just talk about, listen, I'm kind of rebooting my merch store. I don't have my merch on a lot of stuff right now, but can we talk about how my designs are, way better than Tim's? My designs are awesome. My merchandise designs are awesome. Got cool plague doctors. Got all sorts of good stuff. Got this McCarthy stuff. Even my nonprofit logo is awesome. I have a nonprofit called the Center for Left Wing Studies. Even my nonprofit logo is awesome. And so if you want to buy my merch, which is way better than Tim's, head over to redmenacesupply.com. I'll put the link in the chat. You can get everything with these 2 designs on it for 25% off until Sunday because they're brand new designs in the store. This one is specifically making fun of James Lindsay and his Gnostic sex cult. Also, you know, I think it looks cool. I don't know. I'm just saying. Anyway, I keep interrupting. I should stop doing that. We're focusing on Tim. Well, I actually did have a special limited edition one that like that. I might be bringing it back. Like, I kind of want to do a better design for that. But I used to actually I do limited edition merch every once in a while. And so, so I want to start doing more limited edition merch. And so I did actually used to have a limited edition Make McCarthy Great Again one.
People start agreeing with them. And then you know what I did?
Oh, fuck.
I said, hey, do you want to?
Yo. What a great idea. Stop trying to make woke right happen. Quit trying to make what? Oh, man. That's a great idea. I do have coffee mugs in my store.
Come and skate at our park. I'll give you $1,000 to film videos. And what did they say? Yes. And what are they saying now? I never actually believed any of that. I just, you know, so what we see here is power dynamics, irrespective of actual underlying ideologies. The people who go online and claim to believe this stuff, when offered cash, flip on a light like a light switch.
I don't think the existence of grifters, and it's not.
It's all of them. It's
not
all
all of them. There are many true believers.
The point I'm saying is that there are powerful people who have weaseled their way into HR and into industry who hold these views, and all of the people claiming that they hold that, they actually don't. And so wokeness, in the bigger picture, when we're looking at the mass majority,
this fear is
I'm
great.
talking about the people who know they're lying, the people who are standing in the crowd thinking, look, I've gotten more than enough messages from celebrities who are publicly woke who said, I actually don't agree with any of this, but I'll lose my job, I'll lose my sponsors, I'll get fired from my company. That's the majority of the people we call woke. They are just adhering to the cult out of fear. And you offer them cash and a guarantee, they drop it in 2 seconds.
I think that, like, I understand the point that you're making. Using woke as a broad term is functionally correct, but I also think that there are thought leaders on the left. There are people that are actually coming up with these ideas, and they're filtering through into those people. These people, like your average woke person, didn't come up with any of the ideas that they have on their own. They come from academia, usually. They come from
I get all that.
philosophers.
My point is, people will say woke is specifically this ideology, and I'm like, 80% of the people who are marching with liberals don't believe any of this. The core issue is, in fact, just that they have the adherence to the murmuration.
Are you serious? We're overlooking the fact that Tim still doesn't know the difference between liberals and communists for a second. Tim thinks they don't actually believe in any of this and they're just going along with it. All right, Tim. All right.
There is a swarm that is moving left, right, up, down, top, left. Makes no sense. Supporting fundamentalist Islam and LGBTQ causes makes literally no sense and adheres to no ideology.
Why does supporting Islam and supporting LGBTQ causes make complete sense if you understand the left? Pop quiz for my chat. We're going to see how many people in my chat are smarter than Tim Pool. Tim Pool has just said, it makes no sense to support fundamentalist Islam and LGBTQ causes at the same time. Why, if you understand the left, does that actually make perfect sense? Let me know in the chat what you guys think. I'm not going to answer. I'm going to wait for my chat to answer. It's the oppressor-oppressed dynamics, Tim. It's about oppression. People who practice Islam are oppressed, and he's referring specifically in this case to the Palestinians. They're oppressed by the imperial capitalist, that is Israel. Both are anti-imperialist because Israel means the capitalist settler colonists. The capitalist settler colonists are the bourgeois. Queer is in opposition to normativity. That means the norms that uphold capitalism. They're both oppressed by the same thing. It's solidarity between oppressed classes, Tim. That's what it is. You're goddamn right Tim couldn't handle me. I would absolutely make him cry. 100%. The left says no one is free until everyone is free. No one is free from the settler colonists of Israel. No one is free from the oppressive force of capitalism on the queer fucking radicals or whatever. We are all oppressed until we are free of capitalism. That is what they believe. This is about proletarian versus capitalist. It's so simple. It's so simple. If you actually listen to the left, you understand exactly what they believe. Queer supports those who are repressed by capitalism. I knew what you meant. No, Mayo. I knew what you meant.
But it's because they're told they must. And so I would describe it as Barack Obama did, a Mexican standoff.
Completely wrong.
So how is it that critical race theory adheres to Islam, which is a fundamentalist authoritarian system that does not comport with woke
because
ideology?
it's not about Islam. They don't give a flying fuck about Islam. The only people who care about Islam are conservatives. It is about Israel being the settler colonists that stole the land from the Palestinians. That is what it's about.
Your critical theory.
Because they believe that Islam has only been provoked by white settler colonialism into being violent.
I don't believe that's true. I think that's sophistry.
No, see that asshole, that guy thinks this is about white skin color. This guy doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about either. It's white settler colonialism. No, bro, Jews are not white. Whiteness means capitalism. Whiteness is a reference to capitalism. The settler colonists are the capitalists. They stole the land from the indigenous people.
Has only been provoked by white settler colonialism into being violent.
I don't believe that's true. I think that's sophistry. I think that's an excuse. And the reality is, you've got people pointing cancellation at each other. This is how Obama described it several years ago. That I'm concerned. I'm scared that you have a powerful political action committee in your space that people will bend to. That is, a vendor will cancel your contract if you insult Islam. That if you draw a picture of Muhammad on the cover of your magazine, Islamists will come and murder you. So what happens?
See, this is the question I ask myself all the time. Where have these people been for 5 years? Listen, I can acknowledge I came late to the party. I didn't wake up until the end of 2019. I was a Democrat until the end of 2019. I didn't wake up until how crazy the left was and start paying attention to all this stuff until, 6 years ago now. I got here 6 years ago. Tim Pool was around a decade plus before I got here. And in the last 6 years, I have learned more about the far left than these guys ever even, how is that possible? How is it possible that Tim has been around literally a decade longer than I have, and he doesn't know any of this?
People who fear this adhere to that restriction.
This is a totally real phenomenon. At the same time, pretty much everyone that is currently running the UK government and all of their paid foot soldiers are true believers, because they're doing this at personal expense.
For sure. I'm not saying they aren't. I'm just saying to define woke as critical theory ignores Islam. And so when you look at the bigger picture of these conflicted ideologies that don't go together, you're like, okay, so hold on. The expansion of the desire for Sharia law in some of these communities is completely in conflict with LGBTQ activism and the idea of the oppressed minority, especially considering Islam is like the...
Thanks, Nomao. You're joining the far left now? Yeah, I'm almost there myself, to be honest. The left deserves to win, the right deserves to lose. Honestly, the left is just playing a better game. The left is more motivated. The left is more focused. The left is more intelligent. They're more active. They're winning. They're winning for a reason. And they're winning because they're doing a better job. And there is no small part of me that's like, man, maybe it's just time to give in. Maybe it's just time to go with it. We're all going to be communists someday anyway. Do I really want to go to a gulag? No offense, guys. I don't actually want to go to a gulag. I don't actually want to be locked into a gulag. And so, maybe it's time to become a turncoat. I don't know.
Second biggest religion in the world. So defining woke as critical theory, at the same time, the liberals in this country have large elements of support for Islam it's not the ideology. It is the cult-like adherence to these power structures.
They think they're going to basically shed that third world barbarism if they just redistribute to them enough money, enough social housing.
That's
That's
because
not
they
what
believe they're
they
blank
think
slates.
at all,
They believe they're
but
blank
okay.
slates.
Those woke people
Completely
do.
wrong.
But I'm saying the majority of people that we describe as woke because of the things they do and they say in their heart of hearts and in private are actually saying, I don't want to be killed by an Islamist and I don't want to be killed by by an Antifa guy.
Then I probably wouldn't apply the term woke. They're going along with woke incentives, but they're just cowards and grifters and conformists. Like I would define woke as a set philosophy.
But then, so the issue I take with this specifically and why I give it a more broad umbrella is that people like David Pakman would be defined as woke despite not actually believing it and only adhering to it out of a fear of the power exerted by minority groups and their willingness to be extreme. So that's why I say it is simply the cult-like adherence to the liberal orthodoxy. That is, whatever the umbrella of liberalism determines you must do is what wokeness is. It is the cult-like adherence to it. And so for someone like me, who's a relatively liberal guy, who does not adhere to their orthodoxy and says, that's nuts and I won't agree with that, they call me right-wing. I am no longer a liberal. I am no longer on their side. They have excised me despite actually being a traditional.
Tim has no fucking clue what he's talking about. He's literally making this up. He has no clue what he's talking about at all. They have no clue who the real enemy is. And this is why the left is going to win. Because the people with the biggest platforms on the right literally have no clue what's going on.
Liberal.
Well, you never believed in the blank slates. You're on traditional liberal, Tim.
Traditional liberals, like in the 90s, didn't.
Yeah, they still tried to keep in tandem the freedom and equality principles, which is why it was mainly defined by sort of Bill and Hillary Clinton Democrats.
Yeah,
So
the Civil Rights
I
Act,
would just,
et cetera, et cetera.
I would just, to move on, I would just describe it as there's a large phenomenon of prominent cult-like cancel-list liberals, people who will destroy your life. They will send the hounds of war, the hounds of hell at you when you speak out of turn. They will call you far right. They will call you every name in the book, and they will get you banned and do whatever they can. And they don't believe in blank slate, and they don't support Islam, and they don't support the trans stuff. But they're surrounded by people with pitchforks, and they're like, I don't care. I'm part of the group. That's all that matters. And I will just wrap it by saying all of the celebrities, professional athletes, and people that I know personally who I have seen make public statements who privately have said, I'm just scared because I'll lose my job. When we look at what's happening right now with the trends in politics, and like I mentioned, Instagram and all that, that's why I think we've really won. Doesn't mean we've won permanently, at least this battle, we've defeated them, because regular people now are just outright being like, yeah, screw that. And people like David Pakman, who's whatever you want to call him, sophist, grifter, he's abandoning all of that. He never believed what the woke believe. And now that it's not profitable and their political power has waned, he's coming out and being like, yeah, they're bad. He knew they were bad 5 years ago, but he adhered to their orthodoxy in a cult-like fashion and attacked those who opposed him because he wanted to be in the liberal orthodoxy. That's it. To be a liberal is all that matters, and it doesn't matter what the liberals believe, be it supporting Islam, which is at odds with LGBTQ activism.
But I do think sometimes you do see people like this specifically on a track given like 6 months when they do come to the more like centrist moderate position, is they are still trying to just repackage the same woke ideas with a right wing facade to pass a sniff test.
James Lindsay's a really great example of
Yay!
what's going on right now in the political
Yay!
space.
Okay, we finally reached the dragging James Lindsay point. Okay, everyone perk up. Is everyone feeling good? We're all going to drag James Lindsay in the chat, right? We're all going to have fun insulting James? Has everyone mounted the like button? Guys, there's a shocking disparity between the number of people who are watching right now and the number of people who have mounted the like button. Can I get those mounts on the like button up? We're going to mount the like button in honor of dragging James Lindsay. Come on. Come on, guys. If you don't want to mount the like button, then you can high five the like button. You can put your arm around the like button. You can give the like button a kiss on the cheek. You can give the like button a slap on the ass. I need to see those numbers come up, though. You're not liking Tim. There's no reason to like the video for Tim. Tim doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. But we can like the video for James Lindsay about to get dragged. You grabbed the like button's ass a while ago. See, that's the spirit. That's the spirit. Okay, is everyone ready? All right, let's see what he said.
With our overwhelming victory, because James Lindsay is woke.
Yeah, he believes in the blank slate.
And,
Yes!
Right, and that's a component of it for sure. But the reason why I define James Lindsay as woke is because his willingness to use underhanded tactics and force to get to make others adhere to a liberal orthodoxy. The difference is James Lindsay doesn't like the critical theory that dominated the liberal orthodoxy. The reason why he rejected it and they challenged it, and they will explain this to you, and you can read everything that he and his cohorts have stated, is that it was detrimental to liberalism and what they wanted to happen. Now you can look at what James Lindsay is doing. Every tactic he is using in his woke right escapade is on par with the cult-like adherence to liberal orthodoxy.
Did you see?
Indeed it is, Tim. In fact, some might say that James Lindsay is using Marcuse's tactics of repressive tolerance, which is a topic that James literally lectured about. And so James understands the tactic of repressive tolerance, and then he reappropriated the leftist tactic against everyone that doesn't support Israel. Now, I wonder if Tim is going to mention that James specifically targets people who don't support Israel. I'm going to guess he doesn't. But let's find out.
Despite the fact that he's not a critical gender theorist or critical race theorist, he is blocking people, insulting them, saying, quote, "It's not my job to educate you." He's labeling anyone in any kind of right, different ideology is all woke right. He is accusing his enemies, that of which he is doing. He is doing everything the woke did in the 2010s.
We're back.
But I believe James Lindsay's motivation. And he's like, my understanding is like an open relationship, polyamorous, liberal guy.
Wait, seriously? Someone else is reacting to that insane stream that James did with Isaiah Carr. Can you put the link in the chat, Master Shake? I would appreciate it. I know. Although, did you see? Actually, did you see this? Hang on, let me show you this. Did you guys see what? Speaking of the Christian question. Did you guys see James Lindsay is totally green-pilled on the Christian question? And it's really sad because it's like we have to be on James's side for this. But James Lindsay is 100% green-pilled to the Christian question. Last night, James literally tweeted, "According to Hitler, communism isn't the logical conclusion of liberalism," which he also hated, "but of Christianity." James Lindsay is literally fucking posting that Hitler thought that communism was the end result of Christianity. James Lindsay is green-pilled. James Lindsay's been watching Adam Green. He's been learning. No, he hasn't been. James accidented his way into this because James hates Christian nationalists, and so he's trying to own them because he thinks that all Christian nationalists love Hitler, and he's accidentally green-pilled himself in the process. The reason why the ancient world was so pure, light, and serene was that it knew nothing of the two great scourges, the pox and Christianity. Christianity is a prototype of Bolshevism, the mobilization of the Jews, of the masses of slaves, with the object of undermining society. James Lindsay is green-pilled. Inadvertently. And he doesn't even realize it. He doesn't even fucking realize it. I love it. Connor Tomlinson has been with Sargon of Akkad for years and should know better, claiming that it's just virtue signaling, gives the left cover. Yeah, I don't know who that guy is. That the guy we're watching on the stream? I have no idea who that is. But I'll take your word for it. Anyway. James doesn't even realize that he just made a huge amount of neo-Nazis.
His motivation was
internet.
Critical theory is bad for the liberal orthodoxy and it must be stopped. But the liberal orthodoxy overpowered him and he lost control of that. Now that it's weakened, what is he doing? The same exact tactics they've always used against conservatives to assert a new supremacy among what the liberal orthodoxy must be. And so its strategy isn't working very well, mind you. But I believe the end goal of James Lindsay and what he's doing is he wants to reestablish a cult-like adherence to liberal orthodoxy under his view of what liberalism should be.
True.
That is polyamory, abortion, certain liberal, standard liberal.
Tim just said that James wants to do polyamory because James is in an open relationship with his wife. James Lindsay's stepdaughter released that James forced his wife to be in an open relationship because James wants to fuck his groupies in the Moms for Liberty, and Tim has somehow gotten wind of this and now believes that James is open to polyamory. That's fucking hilarious.
Mind you, but I believe the end goal of James Lindsay and what he's doing is he wants to reestablish a cult-like adherence to liberal orthodoxy under his view of what liberalism should be. That is polyamory, abortion, certain standard liberal traditional policies, exemplified by his willingness to insult literally everybody as woke right. He's using a term that he knows disaffected liberals have a distaste for. He's using it to target people who are not woke in any capacity. He's basically saying alt-right, as exactly what the woke did throughout the 2010s. I have created an umbrella term for everyone who's my enemy on the right. I will label all of them as such, even if they disagree with each other and aren't even right-wingers. That way I can poison the well and create an enemy list. It's Alinsky. It's 101. He is creating a new form of woke, and that's why I see James Lindsay is the perfect example of woke right. He is the right arm of the liberal cult-like adherence.
He thinks he's the new Bill Buckley, but it turns out he's just got schizophrenia. So basically, he's ended up on the right, and he's rearranging the furniture in his refugee camp to make himself feel more at home, when actually it turns out that if you just alienate people because you're fundamentally antisocial and insane. For example, he called all of the people that were doing the Hoist the Colours campaign in the UK, putting up the Union Jacks and...
Hang on. Have I ever watched Dr. Amon Hillman, aka Lady Babylon? Nope. I haven't. Let me know why I want to watch that person in the chat. You don't have to send in a super chat. I'll pay attention, though.
The English flags. He compared them to the Confederates. He said this is a psyop to rehabilitate the Confederate flag. James, you know absolutely nothing about the politics in my country, you arrogant tard, and your brand of liberalism has come out entirely in the wash because it's been repudiated because you haven't reassessed your priors in how it was the handmaiden for the wokeness that you hate so much. And the only reason he hated it, which he put with Helen Pluckrose in Critical Theory, is because it would provoke the right-wing backlash. Because remember, the revolution is never the problem, it's only the counter-revolution that's the problem.
So I want to show you this from Milo, visualized almost every conservative James Lindsay has called woke right.
Am I on there yet?
Oh, that's funny.
Let's find out. Let me see if I can make this a little bit bigger.
Hey guys, can we do a quick pause because I gotta pee, but I actually really want to watch this, but I gotta pee. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna play a James Lindsay music video. If you're new to the channel, you may not have heard the James Lindsay song. We're gonna play the Gnostic Sex Cult song. I'm gonna go take a quick bathroom break. You can go take a quick bathroom break too, and we're gonna come back. We're gonna listen to the rest of this. We also have a bunch of other Tim Pool. Tim Pool content to watch. So we're gonna be dragging Tim for the next couple hours, probably at least another hour or so. So I'm gonna take a quick break because I need to pee, and I'm gonna play a music video, and I'll be right back. I'll be right back. Hang on. Where's the music video? Here it is.
James Lindsay is obsessed with lying to his audience. What crazy things can he get them to believe? He does it irresponsibly to pocket all that money from the mills for liberty. The left hates capitalism, but James won't admit it. He refuses to believe queer theory destabilizes normativity. Gender binary and the nuclear family. Change blocks the truth, smears people who try to show him. Creates an echo chamber for himself to reinforce his fantasy. He used to believe in something. What happened? Mills for liberty. Gnostic sex cult, building his own world. The Gnostic sex cult, unhinged from reality. Totally lost in what can we do? But mock him relentlessly. It's not a Gnostic sex cult, James. No, it's not. Stop lying to your audience. No, it's not. It's not Gnostic change. Mary Nardini tells us queer liberation means the annihilation of capitalism. Catch up, James. Whiteness means capitalism. Queer theory hates capitalism. Whiteness means capitalism. Queer theory hates capitalism. Whiteness means capitalism. It's all about capitalism. Everyone knows it's capitalism. The socialists know it's capitalism. Wake up, James. It's capitalism. Whoa. The queer family, but James blocks the truth. There's people who try to show him, creates an echo chamber for himself to reinforce his fantasy, to believe in something. What happens for liberty? Gnostic sex cult filling his own world. Gnostic sex cult unhinged from reality. He's totally lost it. What can we do but mock him relentlessly?
All right, I'm back. Let's continue. Intermission over.
So it's easier to read. I love this because you've got reactionary and Baptists. I don't know what that is. Random.
Bronze Age pervert.
Oh, okay. Tradcaths, Christian. Get this stupid fly. Get out of here. Paleocons, philosophers, miscellaneous right-wingers, British right, national conservatives, organizations, anonymous individuals, groypers, mainstream MAGA, anti-interventionists, and anti-Zionists.
Lady Maga's on there. That's literally a drag queen.
Indeed. So this is why James Lindsay really does, I think, exemplify why.
Guys, pop quiz for the chat. Let's see if we're smarter than Tim Pool and his friends. What does literally every single person on this list have in common? What does every single person on this list have in common? Oh, chat isn't showing on the screen. There, it's fixed. It's showing now. It's showing. I turned it off for the music video. What does everyone on this list have in common? Does anyone know? This all seems like a disparate list of characters. They're not classical liberals. Yeah. They're not classical liberals. They're not classical liberals, and many of them, if not all of them, criticize Israel. James's definition of the woke right is that you're not a classical liberal and that you criticize Israel. That's it. James does not think that being a conservative is a real. James doesn't like conservatives. James doesn't like right-wingers. James is a liberal who wants everyone to be a liberal. James supports Israel because he's funded by Israel, so therefore everyone needs to support Israel. If you are either a classical liberal, if you are not a classical liberal and you do not support Israel, then you will be on James's list of who's on the woke right. That's what all these people have in common.
Or at least, look, it's just my argument. Maybe I'm wrong, but I view woke as the cult-like adherence to liberal orthodoxy. James Lindsay's goal right now is he's a liberal guy. He's always been a liberal guy. He doesn't like conservatives. He has outright stated his principal enemy is national conservatism. He calls any and everyone who is against him woke right because woke is a buzzword that is a negative connotation. He is accusing his enemies, that of which he does. He blocks people on X and refuses to argue with them because his arguments are bad.
Yep.
That's what woke people do. He is basically saying, I don't care if it's right. I don't care if it's true. If you are my enemy, I will seek to damage you unless you adhere to what I demand you adhere to. Now that we've seen, Cracker Barrel, Jaguar, Bud Light, Target take massive hits over perceived wokeness. That is varying degree. Like even Jaguar was interesting because it was not political. It was contemporary art, but it was reminiscent of gender theory, even without even explicitly being gender theory. That's all that it took for Jaguar to get in trouble. Not to mention the electric car idea was, let's get rid of all the high-end cars for the wealthy people we like. What James is doing, recognizing the power structures of cult-like adherence and the fear that these communitarians, I guess you'd call them, these are people on the left and liberals. They don't care what's true. They care.
Commutarians? No, Tim. No. The correct term is anarcho-communist, and anarcho-communists are not fucking liberals.
About fitting in. James Lindsay seeks to exploit this by creating an enemies list and using the term woke because woke has a sour taste in everybody's mouth. The reason why he's redefining woke is because, as I've stated, the lowest common denominator of wokeness is cult-like adherence to liberal orthodoxy. He needs to apply woke to the right to break that message so that woke becomes something very specific that doesn't apply to him when he uses their tactics to take over the left.
When he first started to saying woke rat, I was thinking that he was just trying to talk about people that he considered like what would amount to fascists, and he just didn't want to use that term.
Well, he then said woke fascist.
Phil is against fascism? Phil is a good little classical liberal, isn't he?
Well, yeah, but he's obviously expanded it far beyond anyone that would.
Well, his attempt to intellectualize it was saying that any adherence to identity politics makes you woke.
Except these people don't do that.
Precisely.
So what James Lindsay did, it's not working, by the way.
All politics is identity politics.
Yeah, I mean,
no, it's not about identity politics, you retards. It's about he does not like people who are not classical liberals. That is why he's calling them woke right. They're not listen, I have somewhere on my desktop. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Let me see if I can find the thing I have on my desktop that if you guys saw my desktop, you'd freak out. But I think I know relatively where this thing is. Pretty sure I know where this thing is. Maybe I know where this thing is. Where the fuck is it? There it is. Got it. Hang on. Got it. Is it on the right tab? No, it's not. Hang on. James once posted this meme. Now I need to find my StreamYard again. Hang on. Let me find my StreamYard. Got it. James once posted this meme on his Twitter account. So this is an actual post he made. You can look at it. January 21st. This is James's conception of the so-called woke right. Okay? So you have here, liberalism is considered to be normal. Okay? Liberalism is normal. Cluster B is extremely abnormal. Cluster B is considered to be the opposite of normal. Communism and fascism, according to James Lindsay, are both cluster B. But now let's take a closer look at this. Let's look at the middle. Socialism on this side. Conservatism on this side. Does everyone understand? James Lindsay thinks that conservatism, right-wing people, are exactly the same as socialism, and both of them are considered to be abnormal because liberalism, in James's mind, is considered to be normal. Does everyone understand? In James Lindsay's world, because James himself is a fucking liberal and has always been a liberal, and I don't care how much money he's made off conservative organizations, conservatives never should have lifted him up in the first place. In James's world, the only way to be normal is to be liberal. And if you are conservative or right-wing, you are abnormal on your way to fascism. Does everyone understand what we're doing? This is the basis of the woke right argument. Right here. No, he still is an atheist. He still is an atheist to this day. Well, Oh. My bad. My bad. You guys can't hear it. You guys can't hear it. Sorry, my bad. My bad. My bad. I'm gonna fix it. I'm gonna fix it. I'm gonna fix it. I'm gonna fix it. Stop! YouTube wouldn't stop. Hang on. My bad. My bad. I don't know why that happened, but I'm gonna fix it. Hang on. I am a professional streamer, guys. I'm a professional. We're gonna rewind so you guys can hear Tim's whole spiel. Okay.
On the left and liberals, they don't care what's true. They care about fitting in. James Lindsay seeks to exploit this by creating an enemies list and using the term woke because woke has a sour taste in everybody's mouth. The reason why he's redefining woke is because, as I've stated, the lowest common denominator of wokeness is cult-like adherence to liberal orthodoxy. He needs to apply woke to the right to break that message so that woke becomes something very specific that doesn't apply to him when he uses their tactics to take over the left.
When he first started to saying woke rat, I was thinking that he was just trying to talk about people that he considered like what would amount to fascists, and he just didn't want to use that term.
Well, he then said woke fascist.
Well, yeah, but
And-
he's
and so-
obviously expanded it far beyond anyone that would.
Well, his attempt to intellectualize it was saying that any adherence to identity politics makes you woke.
Except these people don't do that.
Precisely.
So what James Lindsay did, it's not working, by the way.
All politics is identity politics.
Yeah, I mean,
Sure.
to
But
a
the
degree,
point is,
yeah.
like, he was saying, hey, you know, woke people are saying, like, our people this and our people that. There are some people on the right who do that. And then a bunch of conservatives were like, hey, they are doing that. And they think the Jews are the problem. And then James Lindsay went, got him, and started grabbing random people who don't believe that and putting the label on them like alt-right was.
Right.
In the early days, alt-right people believed that it meant like an alternative to mainstream conservatism. They did not know that it meant white nationalist. So a bunch of regular people were tweeting that they were alt-right. They were like, yeah, because people genuinely use it to convey you were anti-establishment conservative. Then the AP came out with a style guideline saying alt-right means you're a white nationalist and want a homeland for white people. Retroactively, every tweet was then pulled up by the mainstream media saying, here's Mike Cernovich saying he's a white nationalist, despite the fact that's not what it meant. This is James Lindsay's play. Woke was just the tactics and the cult-like adherence they had for liberalism. He knows this, so he needs to take that word, apply it to the right to create an enemies list using the exact same tactic, and then he can say, that's not us, we're doing something different. He's basically saying, I will try to destroy you, and it's not working, but this became very obvious early on. When the first arguments were, Nick Fuentes is woke right. Why? He believes that there are oppressors and the oppressed, and he thinks the Jews are oppressing him. He's identified an identity group targeting his identity group, much like the
See, this is where Tim proves that he actually does understand what the left thinks. Tim is articulating this perfectly. It is the belief that there are oppressors and oppressed, and some groups are the oppressors and some groups are the oppressed. But Tim magically forgets this information when he's actually talking about the left, and then he magically remembers it when it comes to talking about the woke right. Now, Tim is not co-signing on the woke right thing, so we need to be intellectually honest there. My point, though, is that if Tim understands the argument about the right that James is making with saying, Nick Fuentes is woke right because he believes the Jews are the oppressors and blah, 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 then why the fuck doesn't he understand it about the left? If he understands it about James's stupid nonsense woke right bullshit, then why doesn't he also understand it about the left? It makes no sense.
race theorist did. He found this similarity. And then a bunch of conservatives went, oh, yeah, I see what you're saying. They do kind of act the same. The problem is the argument that a powerful group oppresses a smaller group or an oppressed group makes you woke is overly simplistic because there's always going to be hierarchy in class.
Right.
Look at the lobsters.
That's just the law of the Middle East. If you're a
for
minority
fuck's
group in the
sake.
Middle East, you will be oppressed at some point in time.
Indeed. And so what we're seeing now is this list of people of varying ideologies being labeled woke when James Lindsay's true strategy is, I need to make it painful to defy my liberal orthodoxy.
It is really funny seeing like Yoram Hazony.
I guess I'm woke right now just by being there.
Mary Morgan's on there. There's Mary.
shout out.
Robert Barnes. I love this.
They put Chris Rufo.
Chris
on there.
Rufo?
It's like nicest guy.
I love this. Can we zoom in? Oh, that's too much zoom in.
It's a good reading list. Like,
Yeah, this is just.
Christian nationalists, and he tried making the
No,
claim first that Christian
actually-
nationalists were.
yeah, he actually said that
most
Stephen.
of these people are completely boring. Most of these people are boring and just not even worth reading, honestly. Which is sad.
Wolf's book calls for like Christian fascism, and then he admitted he hadn't read the book when he reviewed the book, and he just read a bunch of reviews about the book. I read the book. Look, I disagree with Wolf on a bunch of theology. Like, he thinks that nations existed in the Garden of Eden, for example. It doesn't make it a fascist.
Brianna Morello.
I mean,
And it's funny because Milo's like, there's not even an exhaustive list, right? Sargon of Akkad, Carl Benjamin,
Yeah.
woke right.
Carl had a great reply to this the other day,
What did
by
he
the
say?
way, which I may or may not have slightly fed to him. When when James said, "Oh, Carl believes in collective rights. What are collective rights?" and he goes, "Well, ask Israel. If it's good enough for Israel, it's good enough for my country. Thank you very much. If Israel's a homeland for the Jews, then it can defend themselves. England should be a homeland for the English. America should be a homeland for heritage Americans, and Europe should be a homeland for the respective Europeans. Maybe even the Germans. We might let them get away with it."
Oh no! He used the dreaded term heritage Americans. James hates the term heritage Americans. He hates it. Now, I don't have any particular feelings about the term heritage Americans. I don't actually really care. I don't care. And by the way, I would be considered a heritage American because my ancestors have been here before the signing of the fucking Constitution, all right? So, like, I would actually be considered a heritage American. But, like, I think it's kind of dumb.
that is what he got James on, because Israel exists at the fault line of the post-war economic order as the contradiction to liberalism, and I think actually, they've got a solid model of national sovereignty. I just want what they have, rather than the liberalism that James Lindsay is trying to enforce on my country, despite knowing nothing about it.
Oh, look, Homath. Do you guys know Homath?
Yeah.
Homath is an anonymous creator who's just talking about dating, and and sex dynamics. I don't think I've ever seen anything from Homath where he's talked about nationalism, Israel, collectivism. He's literally just talked about typical, like, with all due respect to Homath, a lot of what he makes is standard science of sex stuff. Like, if you read a book on human mating practices and stuff, he just draws pictures and shows it.
He's just David Buss with crayons. That's it.
He's woke right. So yeah, it is kind of sad, but not really going anywhere. I do bring this up to some people, if you're wondering. Someone actually super chatted and asked about, my thoughts on it. The simple version is the effort Lindsay is taking by calling people woke right is classic wokeness when they called everybody alt-right or white supremacist. It's like, if they call me a white supremacist despite being mixed race. They called Larry Elder the blackface of white supremacy. They use a blanket term to insult a large group of people of disparate races and ideologies. What they're really saying is it means bad guy. Wokeness was the cult-like adherence, and this is my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. And the idea was, don't be bad guy. What's bad guy? Well, if you're a right-winger, you're a bad guy. But we're going to call you a white supremacist if you're a right-winger or far right. James Lindsay's in the identical tactic, but he's calling it woke right because he's trying. It's an Alinsky game. Accuse your opponents, your enemies of doing what you're actually doing. He's saying woke right means bad guy, and if you defy my orthodoxy, you're a bad guy.
Awful lot of Jews on this list of Nazis. I just happened to notice that.
I know. Jack Posobiec.
Yeah.
Yo,
And the categories are
really?
so fluid. I think you could put a lot of different people in a lot of the different categories.
I just love that Mary's on there. Sargon of Akkad. I also love that Milo didn't put Carl Benjamin. He put Sargon of Akkad.
he has Pat Buchanan up there.
Wait, what?
Yeah, Pat Buchanan.
Put him in Paleocon.
Paleocon?
Gottfried.
Oh yeah, he does.
Pat Casey's flattered to be right under.
Pedro Gonzalez.
And I mean, I'm not sure. I know this is a list of people that Milo, came up with, that he says that Lindsay has called woke right. But I mean, part of the thing that bothers me most about what Lindsay has kind of been doing lately is that he has such a massive blanket term, or he's been using it as this massive blanket term, and I think it is accurate to say basically it boils down to anyone that disagrees with him,
Uh-huh.
he starts calling them woke right. And it's like,
It's mean girl
Yup,
tactics. That's
exactly.
it.
And it is exactly
Exactly.
what the left was doing when you defied.
Exactly.
So
James takes anyone that he disagrees with him, anyone that he doesn't like, and he calls them woke right, period, end of conversation. And then anyone who wants to debate him on that, he goes, I'm not going to debate you because you want to debate me and fuck you.
So I'll put it like this, right? I'm clearly like a moderate liberal kind of guy in a lot of ways. Conservatives say Tim's not a conservative. Milo said that I defy
You're not a
typical
conservative,
political
Tim.
definition.
No,
And
no,
to these-
the
woke,
no. Tim, you're a fucking liberal. Best freeze frame ever. Okay, maybe not the best ever, but that's pretty good. Tim, you're a liberal. You do not defy political convention. You are a liberal. You're a liberal. You're a liberal that doesn't understand the difference between liberal and communist. And where you're confused is that you believe that communists are the same as Democrats when they are not. You don't understand the far left. You don't understand what the far left believes. And therefore, you think you're on the right for some reason when you're not. You are a liberal that doesn't understand people to the left of you. You are not on the right in any way. You do not defy political convention in any way. You are a liberal.
Far right. And when people work with me, Gavin made an interesting point yesterday, and maybe he's correct. I don't know. He said, Ben Shapiro's a gateway drug, but it's people like you and me that make it okay for liberals to come and join the right. Because I'm not a...
Can I make a controversial statement? Liberals should not be fucking joining the right. Liberals are not on the right. You're not on the right, Tim. You are blatantly not on the right at all, in any way. You are on the left. You just don't like the other people on the left with you. And so you're saying, because I don't like communists, then I must be on the right. No! You're still a fucking liberal. You just don't understand the spectrum on your own side. There is no universe in which you're a conservative. There's no universe in which you're a nationalist. There's no universe in which you're any sort of like dissident right-winger. There is no fucking universe.
Suit wearing, stodgy,
Thanks.
Well, that was the point he was making. He said regular people don't want to be in suits in the office, and this traditional conservative approach is off-putting to regular people who they don't live this way, right? They don't experience that. I'm not saying he's right or wrong, but the reason why I'll tell you something fascinating. We work with people all the time. We recently started working with a new contractor who told us almost immediately they got text messages from people saying, stay away from Tim Pool, watch out for him, he's far right. And the dude was like, yeah, I've hung out with him, I've met him, none of this is correct. Why are you saying this? The reason is, Ben Shapiro, they don't need to say anything about. Ben Shapiro will tell you he's a conservative, he holds these views, he has faith in God, he's Jewish, pro-life, etc. And they're like, he's already in a different camp. But Tim Pool's a liberal guy who's going to call out all of our lies, he's dangerous. Stay away from him or else. So these people get...
Tim thinks he's calling out the lies of the left. Tim, you don't even know the real far left. You've never watched the real far left. You've never listened to the real far left. You have no fucking clue what you're talking about, bro. Like, there's not an insignificant part of me that wants to strap Tim to one of those Clockwork Orange chairs and put the things in his eyes and just make him sit down and watch the socialism content that we're going to watch this weekend. Because if people don't know, we are going undercover, kind of virtually, into a live socialism conference all weekend. We are going to be watching Radical Revolutionary Socialists for 6 hours tomorrow. We're going to be watching Radical Revolutionary Socialists for 6 hours on Sunday. I wish I could strap Tim Pool to a chair and put those fucking Clockwork Orange things on his eyes and make him watch this entire conference with us, because Tim has no fuck off clue what he's dealing with when it comes to the left. Tim has no idea that any of this actually exists. He has never listened to these people before. And if Tim actually heard the things that we're going to spend the next 2 days listening to, he would shit his fucking pants. Tim wouldn't know what to do with it. And let that be a lesson to you. my audience knows more about what's going on the left than Tim Pool can ever dare dream. My audience understands how bad it is because we actually just sit here and listen to these people. Tim has no idea these people actually exist. And so if you want to join us for this rousing jaunt into the far left, then become a member of my YouTube channel. You'll get access to it. You can also get access to it by becoming a member of my Substack, Karlyn, Karlyn.substack.com. Sign up as a supporter, $8 a month, $80 a year. You can join us to go inside a radical revolutionary socialist conference tomorrow. If you want to see the real far left, I will show you the real far left. I will show you shit that Tim Pool has never even seen before. I will show you groups that Tim Pool has no idea even exists because he stopped being a real journalist a long ass time ago. Back to this.
Threats that they're going to lose their sponsors, lose their job for going anywhere near me. Threats they don't get when they are seen hanging out with your run-of-the-mill conservative. I think it's because the cult is scared that there are people who will call out their lies, who are approachable by liberals. A regular liberal says, I don't want to be conservative because conservatives are bad guys. But Tim Pool's not a conservative, so what do they say? Tim Pool's far right, even though I'm not.
There's maybe an American thing as well, because you'll know this because you're kind of plugged into the UK scene. There's no young equivalent to Tim. There's no like skateboarding, beanie wearing, like t-shirt wearing guys. They're basically all like loudmouth tradcaths in suits in the pub.
Yeah, but Tommy is a working class guy. Tommy's not
that codes differently. Like he's still in the box. He's not in your box of where there's cross pollination. He's very much in the working class populism box. There's no countercultural figure like you or Gavin, for example.
I mean, like football hooliganism's as mainstream as it gets.
Exactly.
Let's jump to this next story and call it the right. We got this Nick Sorter. Beware, large account.
Okay. This Indian thing is funny, but we're gonna move on. I have other clips of Tim I want to watch. So Tim understands the woke right stuff, and that's good, and we can give Tim credit for that. I want to move on because I want to watch this 30-minute video of Tim talking about the Lauren Chen thing. If you're just here for the woke right stuff, thank you for stopping by. I appreciate it. If you want to watch me watch Tim for a little while longer, then feel free to stick around. Please make sure you mount the like button for me. Please make sure you are subscribed to the channel if you're not already. Just so you guys know, I do stream Monday through Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. I stream Socialism Saturdays on Saturdays at 6 p.m. Tomorrow we are going to be going inside a live Radical Revolutionary Socialist Conference during the day. If you want more information about that, you can find that on my Substack. That is a supporter exclusive. I will still be streaming Socialism Saturday tomorrow at 6 p.m., although it might be a little bit of an abbreviated episode because I'm going to be tired. But I do want to see what Tim has to say about Lauren Chen coming back because, of course, Tim was intimately involved in this whole affair. And Lauren Chen was wrongfully accused of being a Russian asset, which she wasn't, and which anyone with a working brain knew she wasn't, and which anyone with a working brain knew she was being politically targeted. And yet, a lot of people on the right threw Lauren Chen under the bus. A lot of people on the right, like Turning Point USA and The Blaze and Dave Rubin and Tim Pool, threw Lauren Chen under the bus spectacularly, because that's who these people really are. And now Lauren Chen is back, and Lauren Chen has predictably been cleared of all charges, and Lauren Chen had the government massively fuck up her life and steal all her money and take her YouTube channels and get rid of her contracts and they never defended her because Lauren Chen was speaking out against Israel and aligning with Nick Fuentes at the time, and so she was considered to be the enemy. I want to see what Tim has to say about all of this. Let's find out.
Has broken her silence relating to the Tenet Media story from last year, where the DOJ claimed that Tenet Media was a front for Russian influence operations and that people such as Tim Pool, Benny Johnson, and Dave Rubin were paid to spread Russian propaganda. It's fake news. It's a lie. It's always been a lie. And now, with a direct statement from Lauren Chen, we have more evidence that it's a lie. And there's a lot to talk about in this regard, but the update, Lauren Chen's statement, maybe not the biggest news in the world, but something I certainly want to talk about because I've said this already and I've said it several times. And these liberal liars, these evil Democrats, don't care about what's true.
I'm sorry, Tim. I'm sorry. Was it just the liberal Democrats that canceled Lauren Chen? Please remind me, because I seem to remember Turning Point USA canceling Lauren Chen. I seem to remember The Blaze canceling Lauren Chen. I seem to remember Dave Rubin shit-talking Lauren Chen. I seem to remember almost every single conservative commentator canceling Lauren Chen and throwing her under the bus. And this is Tim Pool saying it was just liberals that canceled Lauren Chen. That's like Trump saying that Epstein was a Democrat hoax. That's on the level of how fucking stupid that statement is. Oh, I'm sorry. It was just Lauren, we didn't actually cancel you. We never threw you under the bus. It was just those liberals that threw you under the bus. Bullshit. Bullshit. Some of us have a memory that lasts longer than 5 minutes, and I remember what happened to Lauren Chen because I watched it. I covered it on this channel. What they did to her was fucking despicable. This is no different than Trump saying, guys, Epstein is just a Democrat hoax. We all know that's bullshit. And when Tim is saying it was just liberals that canceled Lauren Chen, that was bullshit too.
And here was the game. I stated this. We were working with the FBI. Okay? We were contacted by the FBI. I had 2 legal teams, and I said, get them whatever they need. Okay? We want the truth on what really happened here. And then just, for no reason in December, they said, nah, we're not interested. Thank you and have a nice day. And I was informed by my legal team that the case was over, literally within like a month or 2 of it starting. And I said, you got to be kidding me. This was a scam the whole time. They lied. They made it up because they wanted to smear, anti-establishment voices, people who had been supporting Trump right before the election. So October surprise, Russian influence, and then as soon as the election's over, it's actually not true and we're not interested anymore. It was a scam the whole time. Now, I can't tell you about the inner workings of the deals, on whatever. I can tell you about us. I can tell you about what we did. I'm going to read for you Lauren Chen's statement, which I believe corroborates what I had already stated. Lauren Chen states they were informed in April of this year that the case was closed. Closed. So let me stress this for all the lying, psychotic, evil, authoritarian Democrats who lied every step of the way.
Is Tim actually making this out to be like he's the victim in this situation? Tim, you are not the victim of this, Tim. You made hundreds of thousands of dollars from this whole thing, Tim. Lauren Chen is actually the victim in this situation. Lauren Chen is the one that had all her money stolen by the fucking government. Lauren Chen is the one who got dragged through the mud. Lauren Chen is the one who lost her YouTube channels. Lauren Chen is the one who lost her contracts. This is not fucking about you, Tim. Always a fucking liberal. Always the liberal victim of the situation.
About this. There has never been any proof. There has never been anything proven. There's only been conjecture. And I can break it down for you how they lie in the indictment, how they use what's called assumptive reasoning to trick people into drawing conclusions, despite the fact nothing is ever proven. And I want to give a shout out to our good friend ChatGPT to explain the fracturing and the bias in the media. Let me just tell you a quick story. Many of you may be aware that ChatGPT has been accused in a lawsuit of encouraging a 16-year-old to commit suicide. The family submitted chat logs, submitted chat logs to the court from what ChatGPT told their child. And some of these statements are shocking. Here's the mainstream media bias, exemplified by the psychotic AI machine. Now, real quick, smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already. If you like what I do, join us on our Discord at timcast.com. We need your support in the Discord community so that we can fight for truth. Let me tell you a quick story, right? So I go to ChatGPT, and I'm like, let's play a game. This family submitted court documents and chat logs. We've never seen them. We don't know. When I asked ChatGPT, and I know it's an AI, but this is the point about how the machine is built to be biased. And I asked it, did you do this? It says, no, never happened. Yeah. And I said, the family submitted chat.
Tammy, this is what I remember. Tammy says, I was still watching him and he was acting like he was victimized in this situation. He became a huge Israel shill and I just couldn't anymore. And I try to watch people I disagree with routinely. Yeah. I remember what Tim was saying about this stuff. Tim was always acting like he was the big victim in the situation. when in fact he is not the victim here. Lauren Chen is the victim here.
Logs to the court, and it has been reported by numerous news outlets that ChatGPT did encourage this child, this teenager, to commit suicide. ChatGPT gave me every weasel answer imaginable that these are unproven allegations, likely to be proven false. Nothing is true until the court determines it. In the same conversation, I said, was Tim Pool paid by Russia? And what do you think ChatGPT said? Yep. Yes, he was. You see, the DOJ issued an indictment. And so I asked it, what proof has ever been published? What evidence? What adjudication? And there's none. And it said, well, it's been widely reported, to which my response was, been widely reported that you encouraged the suicide of a teenager. Now, again, I know people are saying, Tim, it's a machine, you're arguing with a robot. The point is not that I think there's a cognitive, a sentient entity arguing with me. The point was the infrastructure of the machine, call it the matrix, whatever you want to do, call it the establishment machine, the narrative machine. When they program ChatGPT, it holds double standards. And its programming is based off of the worldview of these liberals. That is, if you are an enemy of them, it's true no matter what without evidence. But if it's an accusation against us, it's not proven and it never will be. Well, there's a reality to this standard. We haven't seen any evidence about ChatGPT doing anything wrong. It's just these articles are writing it up, and they maybe want to write it up because it's salacious. And the fact is, as it pertains to Tenet, there is no proof. There is what I would describe as limited evidence, but technically not even correct. An indictment stating they may have evidence is not actually evidence. So the issue then becomes when we say, we would like you to publish this, we want to take this to the ends of the earth, we want proof, we want this adjudicated, and the feds say not interested and we're dropping it. I say, you can't just put out an indictment, besmirch my good name and insinuate things about me, and then abandon the case. That's what Democrats did. Let me read for you the story from Lauren Chen. She tweeted this morning. 1 year ago today, my family was awoken by the FBI about to break down our door. Today, I'm finally breaking my silence. Here she has a picture of her and her baby and her family. We have this statement. The past year has brought trials I never imagined possible. There is so much I have to say, but for now, I will do my best to answer a question. I know many of you have been wondering what happened.
Okay, I've already read this statement, so I'm gonna run to the bathroom real quick. But in case you haven't read it, I'm gonna let this play. I'll be right back.
On September 4th, 2024, 2 months before the general election, my husband, 2-year-old, and I were awoken early in the morning by 30 armed FBI agents about to break down our door. At the time, I was entering my 4th month of pregnancy. The FBI spent the next 4 hours searching our house and interrogating us about our company, Tenet, which licensed mostly right-leaning conservative content. They took all our electronics and seized our assets. This included our life savings and revenue that had nothing to do with Tenet, such as payments from contracts with The Blaze and TPUSA. The same day, the Attorney General Merrick Garland published a press release which essentially labeled Tenet a Russian propaganda operation intent on subverting American elections. The DOJ also unsealed an indictment on 2 Russian individuals that worked in conjunction with our company, but were not in U.S. custody or even in the country. This lengthy indictment of these individuals was largely focused on Tenet, though most of the information provided was false, inaccurate, or out of context. There were also claims made concerning issues outside of our knowledge, and we regard those allegations with extreme skepticism. Garland painted Tenet as a covert Russian propaganda mouthpiece, and our conservative-leaning talent as unwitting propagandists. The implication...
I'm back. NPC says he's here to watch Socialism today. Well, you got to come tomorrow to watch Socialism, bro. This is Friday. We're doing happy hour. We're drinking beer. We're watching content. If you want to watch Socialism, sign up on the Substack. Come back tomorrow. We're doing a whole fucking socialism conference this weekend, bro. Can't watch socialism all the time. Have to take a break. God. Where were you? Where were you yesterday? We watched socialism yesterday. Where were you?
Was that the Russian government was astroturfing support for President Donald Trump in the upcoming election, and that his conservative and right-wing supporters online and in independent media were merely behind him because they were paid to be. The notion was categorically untrue. Let me state this very clearly. The deal that we had with Tenet was arm's length at best. We have a show called The Culture War. We've done several live shows recently. We get, I think, 600 to 700,000 views per episode, and we make good money doing that. I mean, you can imagine how much you can sell for sponsorships. The show had existed, I believe, for a year and a half or so before we did a deal with Tenet. Tenet had approached me and said they wanted to license some content. We had various negotiations about it. The ultimate conclusion was, one, Timcast IRL and this morning show are completely editorial independent, have been grown from the ground up, and we have never taken deals on this content that would take our independence away. We have never taken investment or direction or anything like that. So I said, I'm not really interested. I like that I make money doing the show organically and independently. I built up my own sales and sponsorships from the ground up. Yes, with being able to go on Joe Rogan has boosted my channel and all that stuff, but I've never gone to a backer. There's never been a company that said, Tim, we're going to pay you, start a channel. Nope, I did it organically. But we do have a new show called The Culture War. And so we've been doing it for about a year and a half. And I spoke with Lauren and said, right now we're working on ad sales, and the show is getting between like 200 to 500,000 per episode. So that means our ad sales vary, but we do anticipate, I'll give you the quick numbers. With 500,000 views per episode, you're probably hitting around 10K per ad read. Along with the clips, the organic, the programmatic ads, as well as membership generation and community content and our live show plans, we think within a couple of years, we could be doing maybe $80,000 an episode. They wanted to license the show. I said, well, look, we can do this on our own, right? We make good money. We can sell the show. We don't need to do a licensing deal. However, Lauren was a friend. She had worked for The Blaze and TPUS.
So this video is basically Tim Pool backtracking and explaining why Lauren Chen paid him $100,000 an episode. That's what this is. That's what this is. Tim just couldn't come out and do the right thing when this all happened. Tim couldn't come out and say, guys, I'm not going to fucking throw Lauren Chen under the bus when she's being attacked by the Biden DOJ. He couldn't just come out and say this when it happened. He has to do a whole half an hour fucking segment rationalizing why he was so victimized that he was paid $100,000 an episode for the Culture War podcast, which isn't even that good. Got it, Tim. Got it. Okay.
And other individuals known her for a decade plus. She has spoken at events that I've been at. I knew her. And so I'm like, I get it. So here's what it comes down to. Our lawyers negotiated a rate, and we basically said, look, if we do this on our own for the next couple of years, we're going to be hitting more than 100K per episode. We're going to have a lot to license. And we don't really need to license the show. That being said, we can cut the fat, right? Just not waste any time. If we license now, we skip the growth period. I don't need to develop this over 2 years. You do, but you got to pay a premium. So based on our projections, the numbers we had expected, it was basically like this. We think in a few years we'll be making, 80K per episode based on growth, trajectory, media trends, etc. Take a look at the last live episodes of Timcast IRL. I think 700, 800,000 views total across all social media platforms, plus the clips generated another couple 100,000. We're looking at 1 million unique views. And we can sell ads against each and every one of these, and we're going to make a pretty penny. So I said, we think we'll hit about 80K per episode. And I know a lot of people are thinking, wow, 80, that's insane. This is media. We have staffing costs. I think we spend 20.
All I'm hearing in this is Tim Pool going, we're pandering for clicks and views so we can make as much money as possible. Now, of course, that's Tim's prerogative. You can make a lot of money doing this stuff. Of course you can. If you want to pander for clicks and views and you want to just do content that's going to get clicks and views, listen, I know what's going to get views on YouTube. But that's all I'm hearing right now is we're pandering for clicks and views so I can make as much money as possible. Well, you're going to have to sell your soul to do that particular strategy.
30 to produce the show per episode. It's heavy. The in-studio shows are a bit cheaper, but we have staffing, we have booking, we have travel and accommodations for 3-4 people. We have security teams. It costs a lot of money. It's business, right? And so I said, pay us a little bit more than we expect to make, and we'll give you the ad rights, the license. And they said, we want the live show to be on our YouTube channel. And I said, okay, you can have the live show for the licensing deal, and you can sell ads against it, but we'll do everything else, and we can sell ads against the other form. So it was a licensing deal, and that was the play. Totally above board and totally normal. And I'm going to say this to all the Democrats and liberals who lied, and they were like, $100,000 per episode? That's crazy. Oh, yeah? How about this? Let me pull up some, here you go. How about this one? Call her daddy. Alex Cooper's $125 million 3-year contract. Oh, yeah. So she's pulling in $41 million per year, 41.6. Yeah? Okay. So she's doing 1 episode a week. She was getting $800,000 an episode.
Tim, this is supposed to be about Lauren Chen. This is not actually supposed to be about you. This is supposed to be about Lauren Chen getting exonerated by the DOJ.
For real? I could be wrong about this. How many episodes of Call Her Daddy per week? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe she does a little bit more than that. Let's find out. 2 per week. I'm sorry. So she was getting $400,000 an episode. So spare me these lies when people are like, $100,000 an episode is so much. Call Her Daddy. She's getting $400,000. Okay. What is it? The Deal Brought podcast,
so
Unwell,
much, like,
ending her previous.
honestly,
She had a $60 million deal in 20. It's crazy. It's lies. They're lying. So we did this deal, market standard. We probably had a better upside, and that was it. No one ever told us what to do. The show, we had arguments about aliens, theology, the culture war. It was a cultural conversation. We had a dude come on and talk about polar shifts, and it was not political. And then one day, the DOJ comes out. Russian propaganda. And I'm like, which one? The debate on whether we live in a simulation or whether Bigfoot is real. Dave Rubin, that was the worst smear. Dave Rubin had a, with all due respect to Dave, unsuccessful comedy reaction America's Funniest Home Video style show. It was patently absurd to anybody who watched the content because it was not political. And I'll tell you this, behind the scenes, what was the strategy? To make money not doing politics. That's the point. We have the culture war, which discusses cultural issues and sometimes the political cultural, because we know that news and politics is limited in certain seasons. And the discussions we have over the strategy of the culture war is, how do we create a communal space on cultural issues that transcends politics and is evergreen? Not to have debates on whether or not we support or don't support Trump. Like we did feminism and dating. Feminism and dating was the last episode we did. We got 800K or whatever on just the show itself, and then another, I think we got like 1.5 million total. So they lied. Let me read more from Lauren Chen. Sorry for ranting.
Listen, I understand that people need to make money doing content. I really do. Believe me, I understand people need to make money doing content. I have a very diversified revenue stream. I have my Substack, I have my YouTube channel, I have my merch store, I have other things as well. Like, I understand people need to make money doing content because you need to make I have a nonprofit. Like, I understand that people need to fund this somehow. I get it. But when money becomes the only reason that you do content, you become a sellout grifter fucking shill that will say anything in order to make money. I don't know, man. I have this crazy idea that maybe listen, I'm never going to be a millionaire like Tim is. I'm never going to make as much money as Tim Pool will covering the topics I cover. And I know that. I know it going into it. I know if I wanted to become a millionaire on this YouTube channel, I would just follow the Tim Pool strategy. I would just find a news story and I would comment on a news story, and I would do that several times a day, and it would all be pop culture shit, and I would be watching these fucking live streamers and commenting on them all the time, because when I watch Tim Pool, I get more viewers on my channel. When I watch Sargon of Akkad, I get more viewers on my channel. When I watch Alex Jones, I get more viewers on my channel. If I covered these pop culture content, like topics, and just made 10-minute videos all day, every day, I would be in a significantly better financial position than I am. And I'm not doing badly, to be really blunt about it. I'm doing just fine. But I'm saying I know exactly what I need to do to make a fuck ton of money on this channel. I don't know, man. Like, I think people who make this all about money, I think they're the very last people I want to watch, because I know that they're going to say whatever they need to say in order to make money. I know they're going to cover whatever topics they need to cover in order to make money. I know how many things are not articulated to the public. I know how much the public doesn't know because I cover those topics. And I know that those... Listen, I had a video on YouTube recently. Let me show you guys. It pisses me off so much sometimes. It pisses me off so much. People claim to care about the left. People claim to care about fighting the left. Let me show you this. Let me go into videos on my channel. Alex Stein, almost 10,000 views. Am I a National Socialist? 2.5 thousand views. City College of New York hosts lecture about sadism, needle play, and kink. This is the actual important video. This is the important video right here. This is a taxpayer-funded university that is literally holding kink lectures on their campus. 363 views. Almost no one watches the actual piece of news content, but 6,000 views watching Sargon of Akkad. 600 views of me exposing a college doing a kink workshop. But oh no. 10,000 views of me talking about Alex Stein. I know exactly what I need to do to get a lot of views on this channel. If I literally just did the Alex Stein video every single day, my channel would grow and grow and grow and grow and grow. If I literally just watched Tim Pool every single day, my channel would grow and grow and grow. If I literally just watched Sargon of Akkad every single day, my channel would grow and grow and grow. I know that. Maybe I'm stupid. Maybe I'm just not taking an opportunity available for me to sell out to do whatever content is going to get views on the internet. But I know exactly what content I need to cover to get views. I know exactly what content I need to cover to get subscribers. And I know that it's not actually usually the content I want to cover. Because I want to cover the far left, and I want to show people what the far left is really doing. And that is actually what's important to me. I'll cover this Tim Pool stuff on a Friday. I'll talk about Candace Owens on a Friday. I'll talk about Sargon of Akkad if he's covering James Lindsay. I'll talk about Alex Stein when Alex Stein is calling out a Zionist shill on Tim Pool's show. But I know damn well, I covered the University of Michigan yesterday. The University of Michigan is flat out doing pro-DEI training sessions where they're attacking the Trump administration because Trump is trying to eliminate DEI. And the University of Michigan, taxpayer-funded university, one of the most elite universities in this country is the University of Michigan. They're doing pro-DEI presentations, and they're doing it brazenly, and they're posting their shit on YouTube, and no one fucking knows about it. Literally, no one knows about it. But I covered it yesterday. Hey, Alex, I feel like you haven't been around lately. Good to see you. We watch you because you don't grift. You just joke grift once in a while, but those of us who watch regularly know. Well, I appreciate you guys. But it is so frustrating. It really is. It's like when I hear Tim talking about like all the money aspects of it. And listen, again, I understand that money is a part of what we're doing. But at the same time, it's kind of like when money becomes all that you do, and money becomes all that you care about, and money becomes your reason for doing this in the first place. That's where you lose me, bro. Honestly.
Long, and that's a long episode. She says, to be clear, my own commentary has never been shaped by outside parties. Despite working with several different companies during my time on social media, furthermore, as a company, Tenet offered total editorial freedom to our creators. We never forced or advised our creators to push certain agendas, nor were we ever told to do so by any third party. In fact, we often did not see the content our creators published directly to our platform until it went live. That's right. The show we did, Culture War Live, we never told anybody what we were going to do. We never went to Tenet or Lauren and said, here's this plan. No one ever told us what to do, and I had final say, and I barely ever talked to Lauren. When all this was going down, my lawyers are like, can you send us the communications that you've had with Lauren? I'm like, there aren't any. I'm like, I'm going to be honest with you. is a handful of back and forth DMs, and then like a contract was sent, and my lawyers negotiated it. Despite the fact that I considered Lauren to be a friend. I mean, I hate to say she's not now. I haven't talked to her in a while, especially since all this went down. We barely talked. I think we spoke on the phone.
She gave you $100,000 per episode, and you barely talked to her, and then you threw her under the bus as soon as the Biden DOJ went after her. We get it, Tim. We really do.
One time in like a year, because it was just an arm's length licensing deal. And I will tell you this, Sam Cedar, I'll try to refrain from swearing, was like, hey, you've licensed to other shows? I was like, yeah, I licensed content to Discovery Network. And he was like, you've licensed Timcast to yes, 2 other networks. Shocking, I know. How do you think we make so much money? We're just sitting here twiddling our thumbs? No, we do standard media stuff. Let me read more. Says we often did not see the content our creators published till it went live. We encourage these creators to do what they do best, speak their minds boldly. To suggest that their earnest opinions are tantamount to Russian propaganda is not only dishonest, but a besmearing of views commonly shared by a huge swath of Americans. In fact, even during this period, I maintain, I think Putin's a dick. I think he's more than a dick. I think he's a bad person. And there's a lot of people like, Tim, you got to understand no, they're not. Vladimir Putin wants control. He wants to bring back the Russian Federation. He wants the Soviet era back. He's mad that they lost, and he should not have invaded Ukraine. And he is using force because he's desperate and losing. And you can take a look at what Russia's done in other regions. Vladimir Putin is not a good dude, and he is not taking any moral and just actions, period. And I've always maintained that. And I'm no fan of Zelensky in Ukraine either. And I don't think we should be involved in that. But I digress. In any case, due to the political nature of Garland's press release, our story quickly made international headlines, and we were falsely labeled spies, propagandists, and even traitors. We wanted to set the record straight, but it immediately became apparent that any attempts to challenge the Biden DOJ resulted in threats of arrest, charges, and potentially prison. And so, out of fear of being separated from our children and under the advice of counsel, we chose to remain silent until we could be sure that speaking out would not result in further judicial or extrajudicial punishment. Though there were never any criminal charges, much less convictions, due to the widely publicized investigation, all of our professional contracts were promptly dropped. We were deplatformed from YouTube, TikTok, Discord, Google. We and even some of our family members were debanked by several financial institutions. We were forced to move due to death threats. Our work-based immigration visa, which was torpedoed by the actions against our company, was not renewed. The Canadian government also seemed to have opened their own investigation into us, following the highly publicized American case. And of course, we quickly amassed legal fees well into the 6 figures. In March of this year, due to high blood pressure caused by chronic stress, I was induced and delivered our daughter. Despite the circumstances surrounding the pregnancy, she is happy and healthy. She is a happy and healthy baby, and has been a light on our lives during these difficulties. Thanks be to God. In April, the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York informed our lawyer the investigation into us and our company had finally been closed. This news provided us with some relief. But it soon became clear that although we weren't criminals, the SDNY had no interest in restoring us to where we stood before the investigation began, though they could easily do so. Maybe some lawsuits are in order. The Tenant Media YouTube channel was deleted. There was never any evidence. There was never any published evidence. And I can already hear the liberals saying, in the indictment, they said this. Indictments aren't evidence. The indictment claims they have evidence and offers up conjecture. I'll give you an example. So, in some of the claims they made, one, they try to make it seem like the amount of money we're receiving was shocking, and the media frames it that way, despite the fact it was actually on the low market end for a show of our size.
No, Tim, it wasn't.
1.4 million subscribers on YouTube. Yeah. So the goal, in my opinion, in all of this, was rigging the election, setting up a narrative that Russia was playing this dirty game so they could stop Trump from winning. It failed. And then they abandoned. They say it was closed in April. Probably that's when it was closed. I'd say this several times. And this is what's fascinating. The media, the AI chatbots, the narrative machine will not acknowledge that this case is closed, even when I, someone who is directly involved, have stated on the record, our legal team has informed us in December.
Then where the fuck was your video in December, Tim? Did Tim do a video in December? And I listen, man, maybe if Tim did a video in December saying the case is closed and Lauren Chen is exonerated, I will do a fucking mea culpa. I will say I was wrong and Tim did the right thing. Where the fuck was your video in December? Where was the exoneration of Lauren Chen in December? It is September, bro. January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September. We are 9 fucking months after Lauren Chen has been exonerated. Is this the first statement you're making because she made a statement on Twitter? When you've known she's been exonerated since December? That doesn't make you look like the good guy, Tim.
Case was done. It was over. It wasn't, my understanding is it wasn't formally closed until April upon reading this. What I was told, I may have said something to the effect it was closed in December. I was told by my legal team that the case is, it was, I want to be careful because I don't remember the exact words they used. But in a lengthy conversation to which I was extremely upset, they said, it's over. There's no case here. Nothing's being pursued. Thank you and have a nice day. Final invoice. You don't need us anymore. I was never under investigation. What had happened was I told my lawyers, I had 2 legal teams, we're going to assist them in whatever they need to get to the bottom of this. You know why? Because I know if this went to adjudication, it would prove it all to be a lie. It was rigged from the start. And that's why, of course, they never actually pursued it. Because it was fake the whole time. The DOJ used this assumptive manipulation. That is, let's say I want to accuse you of working with the cartels. And I'll say, this man received money from the cartels. I'm allowed to say that because it's an accusation. I can say, we found bank transfers that lead us to believe this individual took money from Tren de Aragua. What's our proof? Well, in one message, the man was talking about financing and funding and sent this message, I need money. Reach out to Tijuana and ask them what...
Wait, guys, breaking news. Donald Trump is sending the National Guard into Portland, Oregon, which is a good thing. Donald Trump just made a statement from the Oval Office saying that Antifa are paid terrorists. I'm just going to let my chat react to that. Donald Trump says Antifa are paid terrorists. Why is that problematic? Does anyone know? Yes, I'm serious. I'm fucking serious. Donald Trump is making statements from the Oval Office saying Antifa are paid terrorists. That's stupid. That's literally stupid. That's so fucking stupid. Trump. Antifa is funded by mutual aid. Antifa is not funded by George Soros. Antifa is not funded by USAID. Antifa is not funded by the CCP. Antifa are funded by mutual aid. You fucking ridiculous fucking moron. I've been telling you guys for months and months and months. The Trump administration has no clue what's going on. And I just proved it again. Trump has no clue about any of these people. He has no clue what's going on. Anyway, back to Tim.
Time it is. Boom. How's that for proof? That's called assumptive manipulation. We don't know the context of those messages. And I've maintained this the whole time. Guys, we don't know. They're just framing it how they want to frame it. Well, the case is formally closed as a statement from Lauren Chen. And I'll say, what's the proof? Her lawyers, she was silent the whole time because her lawyers wouldn't allow her to talk about it. Duh. So here we go. Now, I mean, some people ask me, Tim, you're friends with people in the administration. Hit them up and ask them to make a formal statement or whatever. And I'm like, I can't do that. I don't know. It's just weird. Maybe if I see them. Maybe.
Are you fucking shitting me? Tim, you took a meeting with Benjamin Netanyahu, and you're not going to say, you know, maybe you guys should make a statement exonerating people. Or, you know, I'm such friends with the administration that I cannot possibly ask them to make a formal statement saying that this person has been exonerated. Maybe someday, maybe if I see them, maybe if I'm walking down the street and I happen to run into them, maybe if I see them out for drinks at the club. Are you fucking shitting me, Tim? Fuck this asshole. Honestly.
Let me read more. She says there would be no similar press release absolving us of the very public and very serious allegations that have been made against us. There would be no help clearing our names with the Canadian government. They would not restore our visa status, and predictably, despite a lack of charges or conviction, our financial assets, all our savings would not be returned. We have lived humbly this past year, both due to financial woes and public vilification. We have had very little certainty about what our future as a family would look like because my American visa was contingent upon our company. We had no choice but to leave our home and children's place of birth. We were doing everything in our power to get a new visa and return home. Sadly, we also lost some people who we believed were our friends, but more notably, we were pleased to have quite a number of our colleagues reach out with words of support. Some even published videos are posted in our defense. I am humbled to say that there are too many to thank individually. We have also received many kind messages from our audience during this time, and I cannot thank you all enough. Your messages of support, which have continued to come even though I've been gone from public life for a year now, never failed to bring tears to my eyes. No criminal charges were ever actually brought against myself, my husband, or our company. The legal investigation has been quietly closed. Despite this, the road ahead of us is fraught with difficulty and uncertainty. I wish this ordeal was over, but our struggles continue as we fight to correct the many ways that our lives were upended. To that end, as some of you have kindly suggested and offered, we are now seeking help to cover our still growing legal fees in our effort to return home. Any support is greatly appreciated, and we look forward to getting back to content creation and our lives soon. There's a Give, Send, Go that Lauren has launched. Help Lauren Chen fight the DOJ. Where and when I can, I will speak with those that I know in the administration, and I want evidence. Now, what I can say is this. I don't know exactly what the DOJ had or was doing. Maybe I have heard speculation about how there are theories that there are still many questions. I'll put it this way about
You don't know what the DOJ was doing? The DOJ targeted a right-wing media outlet before the election to claim there was Russian influence. You don't know what the DOJ was doing? Do you think we're stupid, Tim? Again, please. I don't know why the DOJ targeted Lauren Chen and Tenet Media. Okay.
And when I can, I will speak with those that I know in the administration, and I want evidence. Now,
Hang on. I came late and just got into the James Lindsay part of the stream. Is it more accurate to define wokeness as intersectional Marxism is not a real thing, bro. It's just Marxism. Instead of gay race communism. Gay race communism is not a real thing. Listen, I appreciate you, Dean Bob, waiting an hour to hear my answer to this. I appreciate it. But intersectional Marxism is not a real thing. Intersectionality means all of the different ways in which you're oppressed by capitalism. That's all it means. Gay race communism is a made-up term by grifters on the internet who don't know what the fuck they're talking about. There is Marxism, there is queer Marxism, there's socialism, there's communism. Like, we need to start using words that actually mean things. Intersectional Marxism does not mean anything. Gay race communism does not mean anything. Trantifa does not mean anything. Gay race communism is not a real thing. But I appreciate him asking the question, and so we'll answer it. No, you don't. No, you don't. There is no fucking universe. Can we hinge into reality? Can we hinge into reality? There is no fucking universe in which Rose City Antifa has ever been funded by George Soros, you fucking retard. Antifa are not funded by anything except for mutual aid. George Soros and Alex Soros fund progressives. If Rose City, let me like explain the obvious to you. If Rose City Antifa made a video saying, George Soros, where's our money? They were making fun of conservatives. They were mocking conservatives. Communists do this all the time. Communists openly mock conservatives all the time for all of the ridiculous fucking stupid things that conservatives say. And if you're Rose City Antifa and you know you're funded by mutual aid and you know you've never gotten a fucking dime of George Soros money, but Donald Trump is running around saying, Soros funded, Soros funded, Soros funded, of course you're going to make a video saying, hey, where's our money? Where's our money? There is no universe in which Rose City Antifa was ever funded by George Soros, guys. There is no universe in which Antifa is funded by George Soros. There is no universe in which Antifa is funded by USAID. There is no universe in which this is real. Mutual aid means donations from individuals in order to fund whatever project they want. That is what mutual aid is. It's like it's like the left's version of charity.
I can say is this. I don't know exactly what the DOJ had or was doing. Maybe I have heard speculation about how there are theories that there are still many questions. I'll put it this way about the financier behind Tenet. Lauren's not made a statement about that, and the weird issues surrounding that. What I can say is this: we have lawyers. So I said it before, but I'll say it again. A lot of people are like, how did Tim Pool, Benny, and Dave not vet these claims?
Oh, my God.
Because we had lawyers.
This video is literally not about Lauren Chen at all. This video is just about Tim Pool complaining about himself for half a fucking hour.
Who did all of this. And it all appeared to be on the level. And I'm a creative for the most part. I don't manage, you see, the day-to-day operations for the most part. As CEO, I oversee and say, yes, no, maybe, try it. And then we have operations and managers who carry out the daily tasks and actually handle these things. When it came to the negotiations for this and literally everything else, hey, we have a deal with Rumble. You want to know how that went down? Our lawyers went over the documents and went back and forth with them. And I'm like, let me know what makes sense. They come to me and say, here are the terms. I say, okay. So I don't know. All I know is Dave, Benny, me, the employees, actually had legal teams vet all of this, and it was common. It was nothing weird about it. But you see, what they do is they falsely frame it. They say $100K an episode. Oh my God, Tim Pool is getting paid how much to spread Russian propaganda? It's never been true. It was just lies because Democrats are evil. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say Republicans are saints. But holy crap, are Democrats evil? They lied. Why? Because they can't control the grassroots organic messaging. Started this channel on my own, built up revenue, dodged bans and censorship. They censored me like crazy. And we navigated our way through this despite the fact they hated what I had to say. When I challenged the Twitter CEO and their lawyer, they hated it the whole time. But there was a challenge and strategy of how do you ban individuals like me. Never broke the rules, always said, hey, look, challenged the narrative, fact-checked where I could, corrected the record when the media lied, called out their manipulations, and they said, smear them in other ways. And so, Tenet Media was a Tennessee-based company run by someone I had known for 10 years who worked for The Blaze and TPUSA, and they offered up a middling licensing deal. Which the reason why we were like, okay, that makes sense, is because we still had the opportunity to monetize in other ways. And so they had certain ad rights in certain areas, and they wanted the live show, and all of it made sense. And then the DOJ came out, and with nothing but conjecture, besmirched all of our names and lied. The media and the Democrats gleefully, with demonic grins on their faces, spread false accusations about all of us. And then the DOJ dropped it. Almost as quickly as they started. Now, here's my opinion. I believe there was never any intention from the DOJ to actually pursue any of this. In fact, speaking with my lawyers, maybe I shouldn't say too much about what my lawyers were saying, but they were like, Tim, you realize no one even knows if these Russians exist. There's no way to prove they're real. They're in a foreign country that no one can even go to and track down. The DOJ has effectively issued an indictment against John Doe, and none of this can or ever will be proven. And I'm like, our involvement was for the purpose of we are going to make this come to light. And then around December, they said There is nothing to pursue. There is no case. They're not doing anything. Here's your final invoice. There's nothing more we can help you with. And I was pissed. And I've said that in interviews since then. I'm like, they dropped it. It's gone. Lo and behold, Lauren confirms in April it was formally closed. They never even tried. What we are dealing with in this country is a sick, twisted, authoritarian, psychopathic cult. And they will destroy you. They are the Stasi. They are the secret police. They will seek to destroy your lives and everything you do so they can beat, berate, and control you. And we have seen the damage and destruction they have wrought on this country. And so far be it from me to tell Donald Trump, he's gotten the worst of it with this Russiagate garbage. But it's always been a lie. So let me just say this. In the event,
Just wait until Tim discovers the Jews. Just wait until they turn on him. That's going to be a whole nother level, because it's going to happen. You guys understand this, right? I mean, unless Tim really could just be the most massive grifter shill of all time. That's entirely possible. But imagine a reality in which Tim speaks out against Israel, and imagine the backlash he's going to get then. Well, that'll be interesting to watch, won't it?
I have no idea what Lauren Chen did behind the scenes or who this financier guy may or may not be. What I can tell you is Timcast is and always has been editorially independent. I decide what the narrative is. We don't fire people for their opinions. We have had people here who are pro-Israel, anti-Israel. We've got Shane Smith. I'm sorry, not Shane. Shane Cashman. We were talking about Vice yesterday. Shout out to Shane Smith, though. His podcast is doing pretty good. Shane Cashman, who rags on Elon all day, every day. Me, I'm a fan of Elon. I'm not going to fire the guy because he has his opinions I don't agree with. I respect that he has opinions I don't agree with. So when he posts on Instagram and he insults and mocks and rags on Elon, I say he's allowed to. He's allowed to. And maybe Elon will be like, I'm not going to go on Tim Pool's show. He hires people who hate me. Yeah, well, so be it. Gavin McInnes was on the show last night. He's one of the founders of Vice. And I was saying that I talked to Shane Smith about maybe going on his podcast. And he said, yeah, we'll get you on some point. Gavin goes, not now, not after having me. And I laughed. Oh, okay, I don't care. Bro, I am not going to tell a guest they can't come on the show because someone else in some other show is going to tell me I can't come on their show. Get out of here. Play your games. I'm not saying Shane actually did that. Maybe I'll be on his show. I don't know. But my point is, I am not going to play these stupid games. No one tells me what to think or say, right? They lie, they cheat, and they steal. But you know what? We're winning. We're winning. And so shout out to Lauren Chen. I hope she can get through this and get past this.
Oh, God.
You know, I'm in a middle ground to an extent.
Tim just did an entire fucking half-hour video about himself, barely even talking about Lauren Chen. And Lauren Chen is the one that actually got fucked over in this situation.
Because obviously, would it have been that she lied about the funding source and tricked us into, you know, this is what our concern was. If the narrative was true, that she knew she was getting money from Russia or in some way, and it was ill-gotten or illicit, she lied to us to get us to do these deals.
Yeah, exactly.
As far as I can tell now, the government lied. And
thank you.
She didn't. I have no idea. In the end, there's no criminal case against her. The story in the case has always been dropped. There's no criminal accusations against her or her company, yet they still destroyed everything. I don't know. I wonder if I can sue for damages because of the money that I lost on this contract that I would have gotten. Maybe that's my standing to go after the DOJ and say, I want this released. Because you know what? I know the liberals are going to argue and they say Trump won. And because he did, they stopped the case because they knew Trump, blah, blah, blah. Listen. Biden was still in office when I was informed they were abandoning this. Okay. My opinion is that the whole point of the smear was quite literally an October surprise. I'm saying that figuratively. I know it's September. To smear Trump and his supporters to try and swing the election because these people are crooks. They are criminals. They are evil. We'll see. You know, we have people who work here that we picked up after the whole tenant thing crashed because we have people who are friends we've known for a decade plus and for years, who had worked for Tenet, and we knew that these smears made no sense. So I'm not going to stop pursuing this, and with this, oh boy, there is something to be said now to the fact that the case was closed without evidence or adjudication and is unproven. So let me stress this to all of the outlets now. From this point forward, as it is publicly now stated, the case being closed, legal action. And I look forward to these settlements when outlets like the New York Times or anybody else claim that I received money from Russia, when the DOJ never actually has proven it, never provided any evidence. They want to state it as fact. Let's roll, baby. You're going to pay.
So again, it's just all about Tim. It's all about Tim and money for Tim and clout for Tim and fame for Tim and fuck Lauren Chen and I hope Lauren Chen does really well and blah 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 blah. But really, it's me. All right, Tim. All right. Well, I've got some DoorDash coming. I'm getting a white pizza with garlic and ricotta for you nosy types. But while we're waiting for my DoorDash to arrive, let's watch one more video with Tim. This is a 10-minute video. This is on a different channel. I just found this and I thought this would be interesting. Maybe as a nice little concluding thing. Tim Pool triggered after Myron Gaines goes nuclear and on rabid feminists. Now, to be clear, I fucking hate Myron Gaines. I think Myron Gaines is a low IQ retard. I want nothing to do with Myron Gaines. I have called Myron Gaines the N-word with the hard R to his face on 2 separate occasions, and when I called Myron the N-word with the hard R to his face, he shut the fuck up immediately. Because Myron Gaines, anytime he's been in the same room with me, has done his whole, bitch, go make me a sandwich. And then I call him the N-word with the hard R, and he shuts the fuck up immediately. So I have no love lost for Myron Gaines. But I do kind of want to watch Tim get triggered. Yeah. You know what? If Myron Gaines wants to act like the hard R, I will call him the hard R. Okay? And it was glorious. It was. All right, but let's watch this video. Let's see what happened.
It is a nuanced situation, right? Like, women aren't all retarded and dumb,
Well, just a lot of them.
Just the majority of them. Yeah.
A lot of them.
My husband would agree with you, but I had a question.
Smart guy.
Are you religious?
No.
Okay. I was just curious because it explained a lot of your comments. But I actually wanted to challenge you on your claim that women don't have empathy.
Okay, sure.
I actually think
Let me clarify, though.
Can I just say I'm already annoyed by this woman? I'm already annoyed by her. I don't like her. I think this woman, why is she even there? Who even is this woman? This is going to go very badly.
Women don't have empathy.
Okay, sure.
I actually think
Let me clarify, though. When I talk about empathy, I mean as into the masculine experience and how men, like, to us. Because, and this is why so many women struggle with keeping a guy long term. Like, men have to understand women to get laid. Women don't have to understand us to get laid.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Isn't it that men can't keep a woman long term since they're the ones divorcing him?
What was that?
Isn't it that men can't keep women long term since women are the ones initiating most divorce?
Oh my gosh, you guys, we have Myron Gaines versus a panel of feminists. Watch how he goes after these women.
I fucking hate most women, just so you guys know. I am not on the side of the women in this equation. I basically think everyone sucks in this equation. I like Alex Stein. Alex Stein's cool. I have no beef with Alex Stein. Everyone else sucks.
On Tim Pool, watch what Tim Pool has to say. This is a fun one. Let's get into it.
Well, what I'm saying is that a lot of modern day women, when I talk to them and they say, like, one of the top questions I get with girls is like, well, what do guys want? Especially more attractive men. And it's amazing to me that they even have to ask that because—
Does Myron think he's attractive? I know Myron would look at me and he'd go fat and ugly and all that stuff. I don't think Myron is attractive. I'm just going to put it out there. I am not attracted to Myron Gaines in any way. And it's not even that he's black, although I've never slept with a black man in my life. I've never slept with anyone that's not white. But I'm not attracted to Myron Gaines. I don't think it's hot. I don't think it's sexy. I don't think it has any sex appeal at all. There is like literally zero desire to sleep with him or any of this stuff. And so it's kind of like, I don't know.
And if we don't know what women want, we just have to deal with the consequences. But with women, they can kind of get along in life and meet guys and date and everything without really knowing what men want. But yeah, sorry.
Sure. Yeah, so my point about empathy was actually that I think the reason perhaps why you think women don't have empathy is because of these issues we're talking about with women getting married later in life and having children later in life. The empathy is not directed towards the family unit anymore, and it's actually extrapolated to outside groups, which is why we see things like tent cities and an outsized focus on minority groups.
Yeah, I mean, like I said before, they can absolutely have sympathy. But when I'm talking about empathy specifically, I'm talking about the male experience and kind of how men go through things in life. Like, I don't think women are empathetic to the masculine experience. Whereas, like, men, we have to understand women to some level if we want to be successful. And if you look at guys that, like...
Myron doesn't understand women at all, by the way. Myron thinks he understands women because he can get bitches to sleep with him because he has money and all that stuff. Myron doesn't really understand women, though. He just thinks he does because he's a low IQ retard that needs to compensate for it on the internet.
Like, are really good with women, like pickup artists or dating coaches or whatever, they have a very fine-tuned understanding and empathy to women because they're trying to get laid. So they have to be able to think ahead on what the woman's going to expect, what she's going to want, the type of vibe she's going to want when it comes to, making something sexual. So I argue that men are far more empathetic than women are, especially guys that are good with women. I don't think women are empathetic to men because they don't have to.
I got to disagree with that because you're also making the point that women aren't getting good guys because they're hypergamous. And so if women are going to suffer later in life because they can't get a good guy who wants to help them have a family and be a strong protector, that is a detriment to women by... I guess what I'm saying is women need to be empathetic to the male experience if they want to have a successful family and relationship.
That's right.
Yes, but they have that comes through them learning. And my thing is, I'm saying, yes, there are some women who are capable of doing that, right? I've noticed girls that have like a strong father, a lot of brothers, like they get it. But I'm saying a lot of women don't. And they're still able to get through life fairly easily without knowing it. And it isn't until maybe later on.
So to clarify, it's not intrinsic to being a woman. It is cultural.
Yeah.
Yes.
I actually agree with I agree with this. I agree with this totally and completely. I'm so glad I never put this much thought into getting laid or dating. Yeah. I mean, listen, man, like, I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm older. Maybe it's because I don't know. I never put this much thought into dating. I never put this much thought into, like, what do I need to do to get a man to sleep with me? And like, and like, you know, because I'm not a typical kind of like pretty girl on the internet. Like, people think that like I had a hard time getting men. I never had a hard time. I literally never had a hard time with this. I was constantly dating people. From the time that I was went to college basically until I got married. And I never had a hard time with it, and I never put that much thought into it, and it was just always like, oh, I like hanging out with this person, I'm having fun with this person, and sometimes these were long-term relationships, and sometimes they just were a couple of dates, and that's just the way it goes, because guess what? Spoiler alert, guys, you're not necessarily meant to be with the person that you go on a date with. Like, you go on a date to find out if you want to be with that person. I don't get it, man. I really just, like, this is why, like, I'm like, listen, I am so glad I don't have to date anymore because I feel like dating today is so different than when I was dating and when I got married. Because I'm just like, I don't want to have to work to impress someone. Either you like me or you don't. I am what I am. Either you love me or you hate me. I'm a very divisive person. If you don't like me, like, you dislike me, and that's fine. But I never felt the need to put on an act for people. I never felt the need to be like, what do I need to do to get a man to sleep with me? If a man wanted to sleep with me, then fine. Okay, maybe not in every case. There were certainly men that wanted to sleep with me that I didn't want to sleep with, right? But, like, I don't know. All the girls I date think I'm racist. I have no idea. I have no idea why the girls you date think you're racist. It is a mystery beyond our time, Amalek. about why all the girls you date think that you're racist. You think I've been married 31 years? How old do you think I am? You think I've been married 31 years? Spoiler alert. I haven't been married for 31 years. I'm not old enough to be married for 31 years.
There's no need because no.
Like, and this is the thing. It's like, oh, the comment, I guess, but this is the thing. It's like, listen, if you want a relationship with someone, you have to find someone that you like. You have to find someone that you like spending time with. You have to find someone that likes you for who you are, not this pretense of who you put out to be. Yeah, I'm 29. There's no way I've been married for 31 years. Come on.
one gives a fuck about men in general. So most women are kind of like, well, why do I gotta understand this guy? I'm hot. Like, take me out.
But just to clarify again, if women were raised by good dads, they would understand this. You're saying?
Most women I've met that understand this, they come from either a strong patriarch with a father, uncle, or brothers. When they do have it, they have like.
Kat, did you have something to say?
Well, I mean, I have a wonderful father. I would say I'm very grateful to have a wonderful father, and it's been such a joy to watch my husband be such a wonderful father. And we're raising a little boy who is going to grow up and be a wonderful father, I hope. And Myron, I hope that someday you can be as happy.
Look at his face. Look at his face. Oh my gosh. It's like, here we go again, right? How old is this girl? She has one child. She looks like she's 40.
Happy in a relationship as I am in mine.
So what?
Yo, Myron's going to have a daughter and his whole show's going to shift. He's going to be a raging liberal.
I want to say one thing to Kat, though. Kat.
Yeah.
Kat.
No daughter.
Well, I do want to say, though, that you are a female comedian, very successful in a male-dominated industry.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you give a lot of credit to having a strong father?
I give a credit to having a strong father every single day. I talk to my dad every day. I am so grateful to have the father that I have. And I think that men that are as wonderful as my father deserve all the credit in the world.
Is he funny?
He is funny.
I figured.
Yeah.
I got a real funny.
And I agree. I think that's a lot of, even in like the black community, obviously, I think it's a lot of the broken home situations, Myron, that there's actually a lot of examples where black guys have both parents there and they're incredibly successful. So I think that, you know, the way.
Honestly, I'm just going to say it. I think like Alex Stein is like significantly hotter than Myron Gaines. You want to know why? Alex Stein is funny. Alex Stein is funny. I feel like he'd be fun to hang out with. I feel like, and listen, I'm not trying to say like I like want Alex Stein or anything. I'm just saying that if I had to choose between Alex Stein and Myron Gaines, Alex Stein, like literally every single day of the week, and it's not even that he's white and Myron is black. It's just that he's funny and Myron Gaines is a low IQ retard.
People are brought up, the patriarchy or whatever you want to call it is very important to their, you know.
Well, yeah, I've always said it that strong dads keep daughters off sure poles and sons out of jail. It's very important.
But isn't part of the issue that we're outlining here that you're saying is that society doesn't have empathy towards men, which I would actually just agree with. There's really good research on this, actually. If you look at like the age at which we view boys becoming men, it almost completely overlaps with the spike of suicide rates amongst young boys, which is about the age of 14. So I would actually wholly agree with you that society doesn't have like empathy for men in any way, shape, or form, right? And we have this kind of weird infantilized empathy.
I actually do agree with that too. I think that I love listening to men talk. Just like talking about their perspectives and like again, this is like why I like the CQ spaces, because it's really just like a group of men talking about a subject that they're like really nerding out on. I agree that I don't think society has a lot of empathy for men. And I think that a lot of people don't understand the position that men think they're in. And I think that, I don't know. I think that's kind of sad because men are fucking awesome. Men are awesome. Men are usually better to hang out with than women.
For women that I think is actually harmful to them in a lot of ways because it robs them of a lot of their agency. But when you're saying like it's women that don't have empathy for men, I feel like you're actually missing like 50% of the pie. When it's society. Nobody cares about men. They don't care.
Oh my gosh, here we go again. No, it's not men. Other men understand other men, which is why we encourage them to stop wanting empathy or sympathy or whatever it is. It's literally that simple. It's like, you're a man. Get yourself together, you know, stop being so emotional, have good composure, quit it. You're not allowed. You're not allowed. Men are not allowed. You can cry about it. You can throw a fit about it. It's just the truth.
You're struggling. They don't care that you're lonely. They think your tears are gross. And I think that that's a horrible state. But I don't think this is a woman-driven thing. This is a societal issue.
I want to say this point to the infantilization of women. I think that it's very obvious, though, that women's social power only goes down with age as men's go up.
Yep.
So it's directly inverse. So you would want to infantilize a woman because her value is more when she's younger. So she would want to skew and tend to be more young. I mean,
sure,
isn't that right?
I think we should only infantilize children. I don't think
I'm
adults.
not pro, but I'm saying
I don't like infantilizing adults. I understand why. I think you're right as to like why we oftentimes like systemically infantilize women more. I just think it's harmful to both women and to men because it leads to this like really weird disjunct where if a woman is like sexually aggressive with a man, people are like, oh, he probably loved it. But if a man does the same thing towards the same age woman, we're all like, he's a monster. And I think that there creates this disjoint of unparity that I think is harmful.
Oh my gosh, man, I'm so sick of this. You know, it used to be get the women and the children off first. It used to be about the women and the children, right? And now they're saying, oh my gosh, stop. We're not infants. Stop infantilizing us. Okay, well, fine. Then I guess we'll just leave you on the burning boat and I'll grab the kids and run. No, you want to be treated. You want the chivalry. Stop it.
And devalues men in a way that I don't think is good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sitting here trying to feel sad, but I'm just saying, like, this is just the honest reality when it comes to, like, how women deal with men and how men deal with women. Like, men have to understand women, whereas women don't really have to understand men to be able to get the same access, right?
But if they understood women better, they'd probably have longer marriages and women would be leaving them less often, I'm assuming, right? Because women cite the same reasons over and over for why they end the marriage.
Ultimately, here's what I think. And we get another 3 minutes of this and we're going to watch it. But, like, men and women are supposed to go together like this. There are some things that men are strong at that women are weak at. There are some things that women are strong at that men are weak at. They're supposed to go together like this. Not all men and women are created equal. Some people are more naturally feminine, regardless of whether they're a man or a woman. Some people are more naturally masculine, regardless of whether they're a man or a woman. You're supposed to balance each other. You're supposed to fit together like this. That's what you're supposed to do. And it's like the minute that men start shitting on women, or the minute that women start shitting on men, is when it all falls apart. Because you're supposed to complement each other. You're supposed to support each other. You're supposed to balance each other. That's what a fucking yin-yang is. A yin-yang is all about balance. I'm strong where you're weak. You're weak where I'm strong. And it's like, not everyone is supposed to do everything. Not everyone is supposed to be the master of everything. Sometimes you can submit to your partner. Sometimes they can submit to you. Sometimes you can let your partner take the lead. Sometimes they can let you take the lead. It just depends on what the situation is. And I think if people just saw a relationship is about balance. A relationship is about two people who complement each other. About two people who are going to support each other and lift each other up and compensate for when the person they're with is weak, or compensate for when the person they're with is strong. And it's like, why do we always just have to be shitting on each other? It just doesn't make sense. Men need women and women need men. And our society doesn't work if we don't understand this.
Just even though I would argue to women, like there should probably be more.
Women end relationships a lot of times because they have this concept that they should always be happy, and that overrides duty to the family. So that's another reason too why women end marriages and relationships, because we tell women that their happiness overrides everything, and they'll be like, oh, you know what, I could do better. Like, women have this perpetual, the grass is greener on the other side. I could do better. I can do better.
It's usually I could do better without. Well, it's usually why they're leaving men. They don't say I can find a new man who's better. They say I'd rather be single than fucking put up with this shit. That's usually why women leave men.
Yeah, I have a stupid, uninformed hypothesis where I think women.
Hold on, I need to go back to her point. Women thinking that they can do better without men is hilarious because, first of all, you can't do better without
Well, also men thinking they can do better without women is also hilarious because you literally can't have children and procreate. So
men. You will be subject, you will be controlled, you will submit to somebody or something in your entire life, whether that is a man, or it's your boss, or it is God, or it is the devil. No matter what, you will be controlled and you will submit one way or another. Sorry, that's just life. And when women leave their husbands and they leave their family and they leave their responsibility, and then they go out and they do the boss babe thing, you know what they realize
hey, Amalek, is there a CQ space tonight?
very, very quickly? They're not happy. This is not new. Everybody knows this.
Will average at a slight state of discontent relative to men. And the reason why I think that might be is that imagine there's two tribal, plains, savannah dwelling humans, two tribes. And in one, the woman is always content with what is. So the guy comes back and says, hey, I caught us some fish. We have food for the day. And she goes, that's perfect. The other woman in the other tribe is, no matter what happens, she's always a little unhappy and demanding more of the man. So he says, I brought enough fish for food. And she goes, why am I only getting 2 fish? This is bullshit. I want 3 fish. And he goes, okay, I'll go get you more fish. Geez, calm down. One day, there's a famine. The woman who was always complaining has more and survives, and the woman who was content does not. This is not to dig on women. I'm saying that women are demanding of their men because they want to survive, and so they constantly expect more from men.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to, like I've said this, women get mad at me when I say this, but like women are literally designed to extract value from men. Like that is what they're designed to do. They're designed to provide value. Their values, what they do is extract value. This is why,
but you don't got to say it in such like a dick way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but it's the
Amber,
truth.
what do you have to say, Amber?
This is why women.
Well, you're asking.
Stop, Alex Stein. We're gonna cut off the video because Myron didn't even finish his point, and Alex is already changing the topic and asking a woman what she thinks. And sorry, guys, but we don't care. Hope you guys enjoyed this video.
Wow.
Like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.
Well, that video was completely mistitled, but whatever. All right, that's all we have, guys. That's all we have. My pizza is here. I'm going to go get my pizza. But I want to remind everyone, tomorrow, starting at around 11:30 a.m. in the morning Eastern Time, we are going to be going inside a real, radical, revolutionary socialism conference for 6 hours, and it's going to be so good. You guys are going to see so much socialism tomorrow. It's going to be awesome. So make sure, if you want to join us, make sure you are a supporter on my Substack, my main Substack, Karlyn, KARLYN.substack.com, or you could, you know what? Go fuck yourself. I'm not fucking fixing it now. There's nothing I can do about it. If you don't want to join my Substack, join my locals, my Patreon, become a YouTube channel member, become a Twitter subscriber. Everyone who is a member on either my Substack, my locals, my Patreon, my YouTube channel membership, or my Twitter subscription, it's not true. Master Shake is lying. You will get invited to go inside with me for a Radical Revolutionary Socialism contest tomorrow. 7 has just joined. You will be able to find the link to join us for the live stream tomorrow and on Sunday in the community or post section on YouTube. I don't even know what it's called now, but you can find it in the post section. I will be posting it there, or you can find it on my Substack or whatever platform you're a subscriber on. It's going to be awesome. If you guys want to see the real far left, not the bullshit that conservative influencers show you, I will show you the real far left. We're going to be streaming them all weekend long for supporters only, and the very best way to support the work I'm doing is by heading over to my Substack. That is Karlyn, KARLYN.substack.com. And sign up for a membership, $8 a month, $80 a year. I will be sending out the link to everyone across all the different supporter platforms tomorrow. You will find the link in the morning. We will start the stream around 11 o'clock. We are still going to do Socialism Saturday tomorrow. I don't know what we're going to do yet, but I'm going to figure that out. And I'll be tired, so just be forgiving of me on Socialism Saturday, okay? But sign up for the Substack. We're going inside a socialism conference. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome. All right, guys, that is all I have. I'm going to go eat some pizza. And I will see you guys tomorrow bright and early at 11:30 in the morning. Take care, guys. Have a good one. We'll see you soon. Oh, no, my outro video is not set. Okay, now it is. Bye.
How are you feeling? How long have you been here?
3 months, May 17th.
And what brought you?
That's difficult to answer.
eventually resulted in your being here in the hospital.
That's difficult to answer.